Take care. See you guys tomorrow.
Hey guys, welcome back. 2 o'clock, and it's been a great day. What a day for the market. Bounce back to the upside in a big way. What a day for the bulls as well. Here's a look at the overall market here as we get underway. A couple hours left in pretty impressive afternoon here. 2.25% for the S&P, 2.5% right now for the Dow. Full 2% kind of a day for the NASDAQ as well. Here in Toronto, 2.7% for the TSX. Yeah, we're up 4.8% right now for crude oil. That's helping some of the energy names here in Toronto as per usual. What a day for Brazil here, 4.3%. That market also heavily weighted towards energy and mining stocks, so pretty impressive 4+% day. There it is. We'll talk about energy and oil coming up here, but we did have a move to the downside coming out of the gate this morning on that note that the meeting on Thursday for OPEC Plus canceled, but still holding on to pretty solid gains here. Bitcoin and Ethereum chopping around, doing not much of anything. There's a look at a very green board. 2.4 for the S&P as we saw there. That's the energy group currently being led by MRO. Almost 10% at one point for MRO to the upside. DVN, APA, COP, to name a few. All the producers nicely higher on the day across the board. Material stocks nicely higher across the board as well. Nucor with earnings coming up. We'll talk about tech shares in depth here coming up, but not a single name in negative territory. Not a single one. Industrials positive as well in the day. That's Tesla, if you're wondering. 8.25 downside. We're going to hear about that in a few minutes. CCL 2.7 downside coming off what happened on Friday. Twitter down about 3% so far today. ILMN, BMY, LLY in the pharmaceutical group also in negative territory. Everything else, though, doing very well, including utilities and real estate stocks. What a day, though, for Tesla coming off these delivery numbers. We're going to talk a little bit more about that and some of the other EV names that were dragged to the downside along with Tesla today, including the Chinese names, but all of the cruise lines back to the downside as well. Let's jump into a few things we were discussing. If you joined us in the pre-market this morning, make sure you're doing that every single day. We get you ready for the open every single day, starting at 8:30. Here comes Sean with an idea that was very much discussed in the pre-market this morning.
Hey traders, what's up? Make sure you click that QR code below to join us here at Day Trade the World. Start your prop journey today. Look, Fahad just reminded me as I was coming up here to throw salt in the wounds a little bit that we had Tesla, the #1 stock on our sticky note, on our watch list today, and the level was 250. It's right on here. Get out of here. The problem was we did have execution issues, so all I can really talk about is that level 250. Why do we like Tesla 250? Okay, a couple of reasons. First of all, you see what Tesla's doing now down there. I saw you sneak those Timbits, Neil. Down 9% Tesla right now, right? So the thing about that is, I don't stop. It doesn't matter, trade of the day or whatever. But look, 9%, the thing about that is, quite frankly, you have to have a catalyst, right? They came out with deliveries over the weekend, 343 versus 359. So, you know, they miss on the deliveries. They still crush it from last year. Year over year, 241 versus 340. So it's a big number, but it's a miss on expectations. And when that happens, all you really got to do is try to find some levels, right? We did get some bump up here in the morning due to the NASDAQ. And I just wanted to show you here, the NASDAQ's up 2.15%. So for all of you that say, you know what, you never want to go short on names against the market, well, that's why the #1 thing that you want to look for is, quite frankly put, a catalyst. And we had that with Tesla. So there's the market up huge. And here's Tesla starting to go up with the market, right? It's fine. But we still identified that 250 level. It's the bottom of the day there in the pre-market. And even when Brendan mentioned that we talked about this idea in the pre-market, yeah, even as this was up to 256, I was like, look, I wanted to short it. If it stays up here, we want to go against yesterday's high. So it would be Friday's high of 260, not the high, but where we closed at 264. Didn't think we'd get up there. Looks like we're right. When it came back down, look at the flush. It doesn't even look at 250. Unfortunately, there would be normally a little short there all the way to the downside. Why do we highlight that? It goes all the way, almost straight, not straight in a line, but close enough. This is only a 1-minute chart. It goes down $7, $8 on that move all the way right down there to wick that bottom. And then I just want to show you too, look, we drew a line right here. That's 241. right? That's about 30 or 40 cents higher or lower than that wick bottom. So you could go long Tesla now against this 241. You have that bottom and you have a couple more bottoms right now to give you that look. But just look over here. This was the daily chart on Tesla, split adjusted. So that's the 250 mark right in here. This whole gap was like that between 680 to 750 before we split, right? So as you pull back down now, you're back into this range again. So Tesla looked good on the daily chart, breaking through 250. It's a psychological level as well, so don't forget about that. And then not only was it a psychological level, it was the bottom to the penny in the pre-market. So when that breaks, you give yourself a little bit of room to be wrong. You could give yourself up to like 252, 253. But before you can even hit a key, you were $4, $5, $6 in the money. So Tesla on the way down with deliveries. It's your trade of the day, Fahad.
There we go. Let's pull that back up one more time. Great trade for Tesla, great trade for some of the other EV names as well, right across the board. It was deliveries over the weekend from all of them, so we'll touch on that. But Tesla, unbelievable move right out of the gate to the downside this morning through those levels all the way down to that recent low. Make sure you grab that. That was on the watch list this morning along with some of the other ones we'll touch on coming up right now. All you need is your email address. It's very simple. You just type it in, then we send it directly to your inbox. Every single day, we're going to expand the content on the watch list as well. We're going to start giving you some key levels to look at. We're going to start giving you some charts to correspond with some of the information that's coming across. So that's coming up shortly. We'll let you know a little bit more. MindMed, I want to mention that real quick because another move to the downside. We have Mr. Jake Freeman coming up this afternoon in about a half an hour. We'll get his take on another downside move here for MindMed coming up. So that's going to be very, very interesting off of that controversial, I guess, offering last week. But here we go. Let's get into EV land because there was so much to digest this morning. This was NIO, 10,878 in September, 31607 for the quarter. Li Auto was the worst off, 62.5% year over year, and that was the worst off. It was 5% month over for the month of September. Xpeng as well. I mean, same story. The numbers go on and on, guys, but this entire group, the point here, downside today, along with the big one, Tesla.
Yes, sir, and welcome. So before we get to some of the other EV names, I want to quickly go over this KPRX halted upside. Volatility halt, 882 it halted at. Indicated open, $9.50. Don't offer me one, Fahad?
Denied, Fahad.
Okay, it's all good. Fahad just comes right over here. He's like offering the Timbits, which very clearly, I went over there and grabbed one while Sean was doing the trade of the day, as he so eloquently let you guys know. I'll eat that off camera so you guys don't have to deal with it. But breaking out at 7:50, should be open in about. It looks like it's a 10-minute halt because it's been closed since about 2 o'clock. So should be open in about 2 minutes. But for those of you that were watching the morning show, you know that we did have some issues with our executions this morning. So I had a couple of things I wanted to do with NIO. I talked about NIO, Li Auto, and Xpeng all having some interesting support levels. I said I want to go long with a reversal on each of them if they broke. When I got the long, the only long I got that I was able to get was both CCL and NEO in front of those support levels. But when our execution went down, my stop order did not trigger. I got pretty fortunate. And again, our execution kept coming up like every now and then. And this is when it came back, essentially, losing about 21 pennies, which is ridiculously lucky. But the stop was down at 1965. So, really the reversal was at 60s. It gives you down to 15 even. The one that was interesting to me, obviously Tesla 250, it was just a fantastic opportunity. But Li Auto with that same setup and the same concept goes right down to 2280. There's your wick bottom from Friday, and there's your higher low. It puts it in, and then it just holds it to a dime and races to the upside. So it wasn't all doom and gloom and weakness in there. Li Auto did have a pretty solid setup as far as I'm concerned in terms of that long trade. Now, I'm not really in either one of those. I do have a short and a firm. That's because I think if the market's at a top, this could get pretty interesting. And Tesla, for those that are, if you're watching Tesla, the price, 240 is a big level, obviously, but 238.72, that is the point at which it goes SSR, short sell restricted. So, that 240 level, I think even if it breaks 240, you've got some runway to that 10% marker. and then we can look for maybe a bit of a bounce. That SSR level tends to be a good support when a major stock is down 10%.
Welcome to Teddy Algier Day, because now you have Cordell Patterson heading to the IR. And then my guy, Traylon Burks, turf toe. That's not good.
That's bad. I've had turf toe, man.
He's going to miss a lot of time for that one. Yo, welcome, guys. Yeah, thanks for all the Instagram notes and tweets and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, it was a rough morning because we didn't have access to trade, basically. But now it's all figured out. So we want to thank everybody at Day Trade the World and obviously our brokers for finally getting that all figured out. You could probably figure everything out by looking stuff up. But yeah, so we got, unfortunately, as our execution was going down, one of the only orders that filled for me, which is unfortunate because I wish my AMD longs had filled. But right now, what are we talking about? We're talking about EVs, okay. I have a great meta trade on that I've been holding all day on purpose, so we can discuss that. But we weren't holding this one on purpose, and I know Neil just went over NEO a little bit, but we got long at 1560 here, trying to play off 1550. It does break pretty badly in the morning there when Tesla does take down that 250, and the whole market kind of came back and almost turned red. It may have turned red. You blinked and you missed it when that happened. But then it came all the way back to the upside. I would have averaged in down here at these bottoms against that bottom, but unfortunately we didn't have much choice. Execution came back out, and I tried to get out as fast as I could just because I don't want to be in position when executions come back up. But then the market went for a run here, and just as we went off the air, we started to get a little bit of execution back, and then we lost it again. So we were able to get something out on the high side there again, just lucky when execution came back. But let's forget about that talk and just talk about something that we've done now. So these are my last two. So realistically, this is a real position for me now. 1550, I'm pretty happy. We were buying a little bit lower, so our price should be a little bit better. But right down here, I'm going long against this bottom of 1540. So let's see if Neil wants to get going here. The market is at day's high, and a lot of these names continue to go. I turned this bear around into a bull early, man. And today we got those feels for that market. So I feel like holding on to the longs feels good right now because we are up that 2.2%. And I think it looks like we want to go higher, man. The mistrade of the day for me would have been AMD at the bottom. Again, we didn't have execution. And whatever you're picking stuff up at the bottom, you kind of got to get lucky that there is that reversal. And then, of course, I threw the sticky note. I got to go get it. No, that's not the right one, I don't think, is it? It is the right one. Yeah, okay.
Brad picked it up.
Oh, Brad picked it up. Okay, thanks, Brad. For that one was Apple breaking 140. So I don't know if we're going to talk about that coming up, but we will, and eventually, I guess, when we talk about big tech. But Apple breaking that 140 was a fantastic trade as well. Let's hold on to this NEO and see if it can get some steam back up to the upside. We're $1.20 in the money on Meta.
On the other end of the spectrum, oil also getting a little bit of steam back to the upside currently. Here's a look at crude itself, back to 5.3 on the day itself, trying to take out that last little pivot high around 83.75. Decent volume coming back in as we head for the final 15 minutes or so of electronic trading, or pit trading, I should say, before it goes electronic, on the session. If you missed it this morning, so OPEC initially said they were going to come out and talk about at least possibly the biggest production cut per day since 2020. And then OPEC Plus comes out and says, in fact, they're going to scrap that technical meeting that's coming up, or was scheduled to come up on Thursday. So that caused this sell-off on crude to the downside from 84 down to 83. But here we go, guys. Back to the upside for oil after a bit of a fade.
For sure, and look, there was a great dip buy in Oxy that we liked, and that 63 level. You go to the higher time frame. Oxy's been a pretty good stock just from a momentum basis, and when it makes these little support levels in the mid 50s, you usually get a pretty good solid run when you're accompanied with some upward movement in the future. So we already had that jump up. The issue with the upside today was the 50 period and a rejection of that breakthrough of the 50, but everything else sort of would have gone right into plan here. You had the dip that ends up holding pre-market support, which was your breakout from last week's highs right here. That's about all you can ask for. It goes right into $65. Even that probably would have been a decent short for you if you're looking at it, only because I don't see Apple up there. So in an effort to sort of go over what we're looking at here, Apple, maybe, I don't know if we see 140 again. That was about as good a punch as you can get. So not being able to have anything down there. There was this 142 level that broke to the upside. I know Trader Pratt would have been talking about that in the midday show. That's been pretty clean. It's headed up toward Friday's high at 143. I think that's as good a target as any. If it gets to 143, I'm looking to be out of this trade. It's late to the party, but you got to be able to trade the momentum. And the market is now 2.5 on the ES and 2.3 in the NASDAQ. We're 50 points, 50 to 55 points away on the NASDAQ from getting to Friday's highs. So, I think we have a decent shot of getting there. Apple 143, probably going to happen if we're going to see those markets get to those tops. That's where I want to get out.
Oh, man. I see it all, and I know but nobody's trolling because it doesn't matter if you do anyways, but I see in the chat, like, AMD's about to break out. I mean, good call there, Dr. Crusher. I'm again, not mocking you. I agree with you. It really does suck because when you're going to look back here, and I didn't, like, thanks to Brad for picking up that sticky note there, but, like, when you're looking down here and you really thought that today was going to be a long day, we talked about AMD. It's long if we don't hold that 63. Well, we held the 63, and that's, another one of those opportunities that was missed there on AMD, and you can see where AMD is. I just double-checked it, up to, I believe it was 66. Yeah, 66 and change right now, and ripping to new day highs right now, taking out that day. So yeah, just watch out there if you guys are in AMD. But let's talk about oil a little bit. Oil fades. I think oil, I know we probably wrote that before. Oil, I think, is near the high of the day. Yeah, it's pretty close. But like Brendan said, you are about to get closed there on the floor, and then you're just going to go to straight electronic trading. So you will see volume start to die off. You know what? Oil's going to just continue to be an OPEC story. As they're going to, cut this level, add that level, go. Do the U.S. even have any reserves left? There's a whole bunch of stuff about oil, and I just feel like OPEC really holds the keys to all of this. Heading into the winter months, I just feel being long oil makes sense to me, especially. Look, you never really want to be long anything if you're going to get into that recession, and especially if people are calling like Europe might already be in one or is in one right now. I'm just nervous that there's going to be a lot of talk about a cold winter in Europe. I don't know if everything's going to get settled with Russia or not. So yeah, I am a little bit worried, obviously, about some of these oil names. That is the price of oil. I'm worried about it rocking up. So that would mean that, why not? We talked about XOM earlier this morning. I said, you got to buy some XOM. Well, that was $1.50 ago. Now you're at 91.50. Another name, obviously, Chevron, that I like. We've talked about that. Buying some of that early this morning as well. Well, now you're in the money on that. $2 if you did that as well, right? Let alone Oxy, let alone XLE and things like that. Very easy to look at oil and say, well, we call along, stocks are up. But you also get that dividend that's coming through. You get some nice buybacks. And I feel like you got some support down here. So for me, as long as Russia and Ukraine really isn't resolved yet, and OPEC really holds all the chips here, I just feel like oil is one of those names that you just want to be long somewhere. And if you're not long yet, I think you can get long now and be comfortable. Oil's just back to $85. I feel like that's a decent level for it. So for me, I'm long oil right now, and I think you can get long as well.
For sure. I think demand also going to be back on the rise as we head into the coming months here. Let's talk about chips, but I also want to mention this. Meta saying this afternoon here, they're launching an AI software tool to ease switching between NVIDIA and AMD chips. That was about 140 this afternoon. This was a note we had on the watch list this morning, though, regarding Mobileye and Intel. They officially file their registration aftermarket on Friday for the possibility of an upcoming IPO, which would be a little bit of a change from what we've had so far this year. It's been very, very quiet, obviously, on the IPO front, but something to possibly look forward to, guys, in the chip space.
Yeah, any IPO that's big, regardless of what you think about where it's going to go in the long term, as a day trader, come on, we're gonna love it when it happens. So, pretty excited to see that. We sort of talked a little about what happened this morning, and the good thing is, well, I shouldn't even say. I was about to say the good thing is I wouldn't have made any money if I'd actually gotten short on Intel, but it's actually not true because it looks like at 9:30 it popped up to that 26.50 resistance and pulled back into 26. So initially that trade did work. Once it got through that price, it's been on a bit of a breakout tear. Now the reason I like the Apple long 142 and don't like the Intel long here at 27 even has everything to do. It's not. Again, I'm not doubting Intel being strong today with the rest of the market. It's more taking a long breakout into some still overhead resistance and a lot of chop. So that's the reason I wouldn't want to be buying at that top. That 26.50, that was a good breakout earlier. This one here, it gets a little choppy when you get to 27.25, even 27.5. So I might be sitting this one out. I look at NVIDIA, if it can get through this high, 126.25, it's got room to that 128. And I think overall it's just a stronger chart. Like this entire time, NVIDIA's been holding its lows, whereas Intel has been making some more definitive fresh lows, and definitely NVIDIA's had some pockets of strength relative to the overall market. We're not going to see that 120 dip by, obviously. Getting out in front of that was only this morning. That 128, until we break out of it, I'm one of try to be shorting NVIDIA at that price, but there's still plenty of room to go till NVIDIA gets there. So you got to deal with what's in front of us, and what's in front of us is 126.25 on NVIDIA, with 128 being the ultimate. I wouldn't say the ultimate top, but the place at which I'd like to go short.
All right, I was just working on another guest. Hopefully we'll be able to have some for you later on. We do have Jake Freeman of MindMed and Bed Bath & Beyond fame. Again, he's that kid. Well, we're going to see it coming up soon here, talking all about MindMed, and maybe we can talk to him about Bed Bath & Beyond as well. Brendan's got that all queued up, so I will leave that to him. Chips a sell? No. Chips are definitely a buy. It depends what you like, Lay's or Doritos or whatever. But if you're talking about semis, then yeah, Pringles. It's been, I don't know. I think whenever I ask the kids, they really like Doritos. So I don't know. I feel like that's always the answer that I always get. Like, hey, kids, what do you want to get? But then my 10-year-old, he could get whatever bag he wanted. I was in the car. I don't know. It was just get a snack for them. And he grabbed Lay's Original.
Yeah? Really?
So he just went with the Lay's, Bet you can't eat just one, know what I'm saying?
Mark Messier?
Yeah, Mark. Messier, right? Was it Messier? They've all been. I think people in the United States probably didn't get a Mark Messier one. They might have got like,
oh, yeah, because that. No, but he was in New York when he did those.
Anybody tell me who Mark Messier played for in the chat? You will win absolutely nothing, as he's one of the best NHL players. Pretty much.
They know Messier.
Okay, I would think so. Well, like you said, of Ranger fame and things like that. I mean, I think he's a big fan there. Can't beat Miss Vicky's. Yeah, I love Miss Vicky's. There was one from Miss Vicky's has a new one. Is it a new dill pickle one, or they had like some sweet Thai ketchup something or something
sweet
like
Thai
that?
ketchup?
It's not Thai ketchup, but there was something about a ketchup one. Yeah, Rangers, Oilers. Okay, there we go. What's up, Mike? Yeah, he got them all. Vancouver. You guys got it all there. Didn't he date Madonna? Maybe. I mean, I dated Madonna. No,
I was about to say, like, didn't everybody?
Yeah. I dated Madonna, but I signed an NDA, so I can't talk about it. Oops. All right, so just real quick, guys. Down here at 63 for AMD. Look, I feel like there's just pressure on AMD, needless to say, but at some point, it's going to have to subside. And, whether or not that level becomes $70, we had it. I mean, like I was going to say, I'm in a fine mood. I'm not in a great mood because we're not able to trade today. And we did ping AMD as one of those levels today that we were sitting right down here, and unfortunately we didn't have execution to pick that very bottom, and then AMD just has been ripping all afternoon. So I really like these names. Just like when the market is cracked and going lower, you're going to see AMD down like 7, 8, 9. I mean, it was down 10% in 2 days last week, right? So this move back up, well done by the market, but is it the ultimate move back? I mean, you're going to look right here. I'm not super confident in anything really until you get kind of like above this 75 area, which has a long way to go from here. That's like another 15%. So just be careful, maybe even more than that. You got to be careful for that up here to 75, but you got to get through 70 in a lot of this stuff first. So I don't know. I like AMD. It's definitely going to be on my radar moving forward. I mean, quite frankly, it's on my radar every single day. There hasn't been one day pretty much that I haven't traded AMD. So today might just be that day, but I really like it. I think you can buy this name without too many issues, especially if you're going to play off that 60, 63 bottom. I mean, this might be the best swing trade name you could possibly have in your portfolio right now. It's not super expensive. You have a defined bottom at 63 bucks. I like AMD, and I like it for the next little while. But the name that I really like right now, and again, another name that's screaming on here, Meta. Look at this name just going off right now, right back to its day high. These were the longs I couldn't get out of earlier, which is, I guess, pretty good. But we also missed that bottom of 135 that we wrote down as well. There's another one. Yes, sir. These are working, so we can spit out some money today. As there it goes, right back up to the upside. It's always nice when you're talking about something, and then you just get the fill magically. It's because we had an order right there at the high of the day. So there's that last bid that we took right before we went on the air, right before trade of the day. We took this at 137.25, a nice little long right now. So it's nice to see that up in the money now, $1.60. But frustrating day continues over here, man. Wish we had more shares, wish we had more prints down here, but we don't. Let's just take advantage of the market as we see it right now. Meta's a definite winner.
I just saw Snapchat popping up here on, well, same kind of move actually as we're seeing in Meta right now, but there was a volume spike there on Snapchat, just a heads up. Let's talk about this one though. Peloton was on watch this morning in the pre-market, so let's just rewind the clock a little bit here. Remember, they sold the Amazon news, and then last week they sold the Dick's news. And then this week we get Peloton and Hilton news, and it's up 6%, guys. So nice bounce back, obviously, for the market to coincide with this. But yeah, now you can get all your Peloton classes when you're staying at Hilton hotels.
Yeah, look, it's an interesting story. I don't know that it is better for Peloton than some of the other stories we had last week. But what I can tell you is that you had a catastrophic fall last week, and then you essentially just held a low. So on Friday, you did not make a fresh low on Friday. It held this 675, made a fresh low, or made a higher low on Friday. And then in that fall off this morning, all you had was a wick bottom again, holding that support. And you know, when I was going over these names this morning, I basically said, Peloton just gives you this support level, then it can be a long off that. Whether it's the news or not, it did make that move. I don't know if I'd be chasing this top side for any breakouts. I think it's come and gone. But that's sometimes that's what you look for. You look for that big capitulation, and when it happens, stock then holds the bottom for a little bit, and then that gives you, as a day trader or a swing trader, it gives you an area to work from where you have a defined risk. And that long ended up working out here. If you had it at the AM on that dip, the second it wicked below that close, that close from Thursday, it did not take very long. It was immediately right back up, and then you hold support. There's your entry. Bob's your uncle at that point. I did say Apple 143. We got real close there. So the other thing that's happening, I just want to sort of jump over to this. The other thing that's happening at this 143 on Apple is you've got, not the NQ, the ES, which is right at this lower high from Friday, that 3,700 level. So those could come into play together. That's why I want to be out of Apple if I can up here, and then looking for a reversal trade off of that 3,700. Now, granted, if the S&P and the NASDAQ both reject these tops, I feel pretty safe in the fact that a firm is going to fall from these levels. But you know, Apple as well, when you get to these big levels, you get a pullback. I could definitely see Apple turning. It's real close anyways. It got to 142.80. That might just be close enough. It pops up there again. I'm likely to just take out like the 70, 75 area because it feels like, as strong as the trend has been, you get to a level like that, I could see us starting to sell at least a little bit.
Yeah, I was just looking at Hilton. I mean, I talked about this name, that just being better for Hilton than Peloton. I mean, I don't know. Like I was saying, I know. I mentioned it earlier, and I still didn't look it up, like what the subscriber count was like for Peloton and whether or not they're actually losing or gaining subscribers. I mean, I assume that on retention, I think they're fine. Now, obviously, they're not gaining as fast as they were during COVID. There's simply not as many people out there looking for bikes. But I just wonder if Hilton is really the beneficiary, as of course we just start talking about it and then this happens. I don't know. But anyways, you're just breaking the high right now. We literally just started mentioning this, and then this name is off here when the market's doing nothing. But there it is, a nice little move to the upside. I just think it's better for Hilton than everybody else. If you're going to have an option and you are someone that, like I think Brennan was mentioning there, whether or not they're going to give, you just log in with your password and your subscription and all your, your rides are there and all your settings and everything like that. I could see that being beneficial for Hilton. I don't know what that means for Peloton. I don't know anything about the deal there. But I said this earlier today, right? It's like at some point, and it was down here when it was at $6. I'm like, you could just go long and hope and pray that somebody comes out and buys them out. I still think that makes the most sense for many people. I mean, Peloton's a $3 billion or less valuation right now. You could take them out, take all those subscribers, and I think, work them into an Apple ecosystem, part of Nike. Nike has a bunch of clubs and things like that that they work with. So I feel like there is a little bit of overlap there. A company like an Alo that just they'll probably go public at some point as well. That's the new sort of Lululemon, or Lululemon could be another name that comes in and scoops these guys up. So I don't know. like you never want to go long because you think that might happen. But if you do have a bottom and you want to even use today as a bottom, this happens to be 666. I just landed on right there. So yeah, actually, look at the low.
Is that the actual
Can you zoom on this, Fahad? Look at that low of the day. It is 666 right here on our screen. You might not be able to see that, but that's, you know, if that's not something right there, then, you know, maybe that's like an omen, as they say, right there. So yeah, you go long now against that 666, and I think you have a chance, you know, to get it back at least to VWAP, which is 1030. So that gives you 30% right there versus about a 10% bottom. So I don't know, maybe there's a chance here for Peloton. I just feel like all these stories that I'm hearing is like a move in the right direction for them. I mean, we'll see though. Earnings are going to be the part of it. If they don't have enough money to stay solvent, then maybe they don't. But I just feel like there's something here with Peloton, and I like it for the long run. But you have to have an out somewhere because the bottom could not exist on this one, Brendo.
Earnings November 2nd, I just saw for Peloton. So we still have ways to go here, or ways to wait. Anyways, it's worth noting the 14th, the morning of the 14th, we'll really get into the swing of things for earnings season this time, guys. Some of the big banks will come in the pre-market the 14th. Let's talk CCL. I saw a few people mentioning this over lunchtime, so maybe we can revisit this, guys, just to wrap things up here. Down 1.7 today on top of the disaster that we saw on Friday, but nice, pretty clean trade. Southbound, anyways, out of the gate today.
First, I want to shout out Sam in the chat for when you said that with the 666, managing with the line that we need Mark Haynes, because famously that was the bottom he called on the S&P. I'm pretty sure it was that 666 number.
Yeah,
that was that day.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Every time that number comes up in trading, every now and then you start thinking about that. Look, Carnival, it was one of the many stocks that I sat out there and just said, okay, look, there's one level to look at. And if it breaks, you know what happened on Friday. And even if you were here, you know what happened if you watched the market. $9 broke, it was ugly. $8 broke, it was ugly. $7 held, it was glorious. And then we closed down right at $7. So as it tried to take out the pre-market lows, it was right at that 7 level. It tried to take out that 690. You would have heard me say, yeah, I'm going long in front of it. And then you do the flip, reverse. Now, obviously, I was able to get the long, and then our stops clearly did not work. I shouldn't say that. The stop did work. It fired. I didn't get the fill until 12 o'clock, but thankfully, I got very fortunate in that by the time our system came back up, we were able to get some out of saying that at about 680. It's still looking pretty weak below that $7. The market's on the highs. And when I got the fill, I was like, oh, okay, well, I'm still short off these levels, so might as well just hang on to it there. So I'm sitting in CCL right now at that 690 fill, which was meant to sort of be this down here. But below 7, it just makes a lot of sense to me to still think about this net short. The market is breaking continuous highs. You're down 1.8%. You did fail to get back up toward the pre-market top there and a bit of a breakdown, or a bit of a breakout. So still relatively weak until it's not. I think there's going to be a point somewhere when you have a capitulation like you had through this level where there will be a good long, maybe just like we see the setup in Peloton, but it has yet to make that kind of a bottom. So give it a couple of days and maybe you'll see some support form somewhere, $6, $5, I don't know where it's gonna end up being on CCL, just that as long as we're beneath that floor or that previous floor, I want to still be leaning on the short side of this until we see some levels start holding, until some kind of a breakout. It's just a heck of a lot that is going against them right now.
Yeah, look, I mean, we had CCL again on the sticky note. I mean, ever since they reported earnings last week, it was pretty disastrous. We had that break of $8, and then it was kind of like, see you later. As far as CCL is concerned, I like Airbnb. I like Disney. I've never been on a cruise, so I'm not going to sit here and say that like no one's going to go back to them. But if they're saying that bookings and all that are even lower than where they were pre-pandemic, then that's not a good sign for anything. So I'm probably just going to stay clear away from CCL and try to hitch my wagon to something like an Airbnb that I think just has a little bit. I don't know, it's a newer names, technology. They don't have to worry about some of those costs of carrying those big ships, especially when they're empty, and then you get storms and everything like that running through. So, I mean, we can have a quick look at Airbnb. This is the one I always say I screw up, so I'm gonna go with NASDAQ. Okay, good. So it is NASDAQ there for Airbnb. It's funny, because they're actually not doing very well today, only up 0.5. This is the first time I looked at them here today, but every time we talk about travel, I'm always gonna look at Airbnb. Look where we bounced off of. That was passes that $100 mark. This is why I'm interested in it. Once we get down near 100, you obviously are going to have some to find out. So again, I still think it's worth the risk. I'm not putting any more money to work in any of these kind of like sketchy names until we see earnings. And honestly, if I miss the move up, then I miss the move up. But like, I want to make sure that, you know, bookings for a lot of these are still pretty high. I do know that Disney has a good little case there. If you wanted to buy something, they've absolutely collapsed and filled the gap off their latest earnings, which I honestly, man, I wasn't sure this name would break 100 again. Like, this is that huge move up. So here's the earnings day, right? 108 all the way to 125 was absolutely monstrous. It closed the gap within like 10 days, all the way back, gave everything back off that great report, and is now back near 52-week lows again for Disney. So I'm just saying, like, I'd rather be in these higher quality names. Not that Airbnb is one, but Disney's definitely one. I've never been an investor in airlines or cruise lines, but I know there's some people, and shout out to Daryl, and I always say Daryl, but I know there's a lot of other people in the chat that look at Carnival and these names a lot. So I'm going to leave it to you guys as far as an investable name, but to me, it's a pass on some of these cruise lines.
Oh, I think
we might be done.
I think we're done.
That's a wrap.
And good timing, because guess what just got to 142.99?
Jeez.
Apple, because that's the stock we're talking about at 143. I did get out of the long, so I scrubbed out of the long there as we just hit 3,700. I ended up with a 97 short. I got 97s and it hit 99s. But you know, you guys can probably imagine the stop is right at at O's. When 01 does break, I'll be out of this trade and looking for that little scalp trade on Apple. Also at the highs is going to be a firm. So if a firm takes out its top with a few cents, I will be out of that. We'll see about $7 in CCL. It's not right there, but Apple's certainly leading the way to the upside. And guess what is trying to bounce here? I mean, Tesla, I have to zoom in and have all these crazy wicks on Tesla. You know, I'm not going to be able to do anything until I can get rid of some of those. But Tesla trying to test this 244 level. So it's been some resistance all afternoon. Hasn't been able to really crack that level. But getting a bit of a bid as well as Tesla, nowhere near that bottom of 240. Looks like we might not test that SSR level yet today. Not with the market screaming the way that it is. And watch out for the chip names. I guess NVIDIA's not quite as close to breaking out as I thought it was going to be there, but NVIDIA is close enough. It was at 126.25 on the higher time frame that I did like, but let's see if Apple can't get at least a little bit of a retracement back into like 142.50, and then we can start thinking about dip buys. I still believe it's in a nice upward trend, but that's a level that's going to stick out, that 143.
Yeah, I'm still kind of in the same thinking here about this overall market right now. You're up 2.6%. Like, that's a great move up, right? And so when I look at a stock like NEO, still down and struggling really to get going, right? Okay, well, just blasted 52, so we'll take out another piece right there at 52 for flat. I'm looking at this name. I don't know if I love this anymore. So we are now out of half of what we had left. We did get out when it came up to VWAP off these bottoms, so that's a 151. Sorry, that's a 1551. That's a 1547, and these are the outs at 60, like a couple times. Now we're into about 20% of what we had from down here. So, you know, once again, that's bad during our disconnect. Came back, took some more shares, got them all out right there the first time. Then we got back in, which you can see my average price now is 48. That's what these prints are. And we've got those out a couple times now at 60. And then we just took another piece out right now at 52. So let's just wait to see. You know, it could fall back down, would not surprise me. On that note, we did get out another piece of Meta right there. So this is diamond hands. I mean, I just wish I could have bought more when it was down here. That's the frustrating thing for me. We were always planning on holding Meta. Execution's been back up since lunchtime for us. So, you know, that trade right there we put on, again, wasn't here during all of lunch. Came back about 1 o'clock, sat down, started looking at the markets again, knew we wanted some Meta long, and then that just went up $1.70 for us from our long. So good trading, almost, what am I talking about, $1.70. We went long at 137.20, it went to 139.20, about $1.90 there. So nicely done. We'll take some out here, out, and just took another piece out again near this top. It looks like Meta wants to fail back here at 138.50, so that could be another part to get out. I'll probably wait for 138 though, because we don't have a huge position on, so that's how I'm gonna sort of trade that one for Meta. But let's go, man. I mean, if there's anything else that anybody's looking at, NVIDIA, I mean, AMD, I know you're short Apple, which I really, short, right? Yeah, short against that 143. So as this market continues to maybe fall down, we do have that AMD here as well. We talked about the bottom, the tops, all that. The top today for this is 66.51, so that's another 50 level, and you're getting pretty close to that. I don't want to go short AMD. Yeah, I don't want to go short AMD, and I know Neil's Apple's looks like it's going to go, but I'm just pissed off because Apple on the sticky note is a 140 long, and that's the order that it's still pending. Like, I don't even have a fill on it. That's the one that we really want to get right there. It's broken, boom, all the way to the upside. And yeah, now we just have to sort of wait and hope that maybe there's a dip that comes through for Apple. But that name just continues to go upside right there. BIAF. Sure, we can look at that.
Yeah, we'll look at, that's a new one. I actually don't know, I'm not familiar with that.
That was from
symbol.
last week.
Was that last week? Okay.
Yeah.
It sounds a little bit familiar, but off the top of my head, I don't remember that one. I did just get out of those 97 short. I was able to get some. It broke down about 10 cents in the money. I did take some out there, but I was still holding on to most of it. When it broke 143, it got to 143.02, but that's enough to get me out because my stop was right above 143. I'm not into the long because I don't want to be buying this top unless we start really holding this 37 level. I think we could still have a break from here, but I would much prefer to be dip buying into 142 where this last breakout started and we reversed into the long originally. That's the price I'd like to be able to get as the market climbs higher. Just worth noting, you are getting a bit of a pullback in a few names. I know Meta did a bit of a pullback. Amazon, kind of tiny dip from its highs. I think 115.25 is pretty good there. And guess what got close? Not 100, but 99 on Alphabet there. Just got touched. I mean, we have this crazy wick up there at 100, but this is the high of the day right here, 99.05. So you have a bit of a false break through 99 even on Alphabet as well. The only shorts I have on Firm, 8 cents off the top, and then CCL from a little bit earlier. But I want to be looking at some Roblox as well. They were on our watch list for, I think it was an upgrade, and it was another, just so many names did these crazy dips at the open, and Roblox was one of them, sort of bouncing off. I guess I have to go to the 15 minutes so you can see where that bottom was. But it goes right into the low from the 23rd. Pretty much touches it exactly, like 33.5. And now you're screaming to the upside. Friday's high sits just beneath 37 even. I think really 36, easy dip buys. If we get 36 again, try to get into this one. And then if it touches 37, you could just break out from here, but it might just also be one of those like late day short opportunities. So I'm going to stick with a firm CCL in here. I'll buy the dip, certainly Apple 142 if we're able to get it. But in terms of shorting the tops, I think I have two that I like. I don't want to be adding to that list. I'll be looking for some longs on the dip.
All right. Oh, man. Yeah, I mean, I have Apple up here. We did say we talked about that BIAF, so let's just do that quickly here. I'll jump at it. It's only done 200,000 shares, so that's the first thing I was going to say. There's no way in hell I would trade this today doing this kind of volume, and it was a name from last week, you know what I mean, up to 11, up to 15, all the way back down to $2 now, so a recent IPO obviously gone bad. And this is the thing, like this is... And I was talking with a few people around here about day trading and why I think it's a horrible decision unless you're able to identify trends, sit in front of your computer as much as you can, and you don't let things simmer like overnight, and you have, dedicated ins and dedicated outs, like, because this is just one of those names again where, like if you're going to go long $5, $6, something like that, you get gap fills down to $2. Like right now, if you're going to go long on a BIAF, you got to have an out somewhere. That bottom is pretty easy at $2. The only problem is when you log in the next morning and this thing's at $1.50 and then you've missed the $2. Same way though, it could be at $5.50. So I don't know. But for me today, when you have a stock that's kind of moving like this and you get these sparse fills back and forth, like liquidity dries up and then the level drops like it did right here, 272 all the way down to 258 on a measly like 13,000 share order. Like that's not something that you want to get caught in. So for me, BIAF today is a pretty hard pass on that one. So we're not gonna, we're not gonna trade that at all here on the show. I want to find something with a little bit of volume. On that note, a name that might be the complete opposite, Amazon. Everyone's heard of this name, I think, if you're day trading, up a nice 3% today, but that's pretty much in line with the market. So as you see, Amazon up 3%, the market's up that 2.6. So you got to watch out for some of these days of Amazon reversing back. Shoot, that daily doesn't look that good. But right into here, we talked about Amazon. It was actually, I think it was a buy on Friday on this sticky note down here at some of these 112 levels. I really like that, but if you're going to like 112 at the bottom there, there, you have to like 118 at the top. So I would watch out for that 118 level coming up right now. And to be honest with you, you're at 116. That high right there is 116.70. That wick top is almost to 117. I'm getting pretty close on putting on some of these shorts right here. But the market's just blasting. The only thing I miss not having long is AMD and Apple. Amazon, I don't miss the short, but I feel like the short's going to come in. That's 116.50 right now. You know, why not? I mean, why can't we hit that short right now at 116.50? Oh man, this is pretty tempting to go short now, but the market's blasting off. I think our best bet would be to hold these longs. NEO right now just hovering around as well. Maybe this one gives us sort of the action that we need. But we've sort of been teasing this for a bit, man. I'm excited because, you know, I still am a MindMed shareholder, to be honest with you. We've had a lot of guests on here talking about MindMed. We actually had, you know, the co-founder, John Ron, at one point come on our show 4 or 5 times, Brendan, to talk about, multiple times to talk about MindMed. We've had Kevin O'Leary on talk about MindMed. We've had a lot of different, you know, guests involved in the psychedelic area. But today we have someone that's pretty important. It's been all over the news, and we're pretty excited for it. So let's go over to Brendan now and introduce our guest of the day.
For a quick reminder before we bring on Jake Freeman, guys, going back to the beginning of the summer, going back to the beginning of this year, this was the big headline that kind of set the world afire when it comes to Bed Bath & Beyond first. Jake, obviously the student who is still 20, I believe, we'll confirm with him. But anyways, making an absolute killing on this Bed Bath & Beyond trade. That was what initially got the focus towards Jake Freeman. And then we get in July, it was confirmation that Freeman Capital had taken a position, a 5% stake in MindMed. We've had a ton of headlines that have come out since then. We'll cover a few with him today, specifically what happened last week with this offering. But we are thrilled to have Jake Freeman on the show for the first time this afternoon to, as I mentioned, discuss this and more. It's great to see you, Jake. Thanks for doing this, first off.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be on the show. And I look forward to addressing many of the questions and issues. And to confirm, I am still 20.
Perfect.
My birthday is not for a while.
Happy birthday when it does come. Let's jump right into it. I mean, maybe we can start off with just an overview here. What is the long-term goal maybe of Freeman Capital with MindMed?
Sure. So we think there's a lot of value to be unlocked, both for the patients that MindMed can help and for the investors, by really focusing on a very strategic vision that we've put forward. And that vision really focuses on cutting costs, really focusing and streamlining MindMed's operations onto really core drugs that I think will have great potential and really help patients, and as well as kind of solve some of the issues, including relating to dilution. And, you know, I think that all kind of comes back into cost cutting and essentially really streamlining MindMed's operations and, you know, bringing it forward and able to really effectuate on its goals.
So continuing along those lines, let's maybe rewind the tape here a little bit. Coming out of the Bed Bath & Beyond concept and the Bed Bath & Beyond idea, what was the attraction then? What was the idea behind the move towards MindMed?
Sure. So one thing I think the news didn't really pick up as much is we actually announced the MindMed stuff about a week before the whole Bed Bath & Beyond thing kind of blew up and went all viral. So we were already in MindMed. And the reason for MindMed was really, well, my uncle was a co-founder there, and we certainly kind of put our heads together and really found a really good plan forward. And we see a lot of potential value to be unlocked there. You know, if MindMed sort of goes through with our kind of plan or some similar variation of it. So that's really where it is. I mean, I think the Bed Bath & Beyond was a passive play. You know, I put forward some ideas there as well. But, you know, MindMed is really something where it really requires a full shaking of the tree. You know, you really need to address a lot of issues across a lot of different spectrums. So that's where it's more of an activist play.
Let's get into it. Going back to last week, we obviously had a big move in MindMed shares to the downside. It was September 27th. In fact, MindMed came out and announced a 7 million common share offering. How does this change your approach, I guess, going forward? And what do you want to say as far as what the investors should be thinking at this point?
I think it really shows investors that we need to have a meeting and we need to let investors really vote and see if they really like management. I think this is sort of a really unnecessary waste of shareholder money. You're basically offering shares below cash value to investors. And you're also having a warrant sweetener there. And there really is no reason for the cash raise. We put forward a plan that really reduces spending, and even in their own projections, they have enough cash runway for another year and a half or so. So, there's really not a good reason to raise money in these markets. And I think Canaccord sort of had a note saying that they thought this was a puzzling raise. And I think it really shows shareholders that we need to have a referendum on their performance, and they need to be held to account. And I think also on a sort of a related note, the question really is out there is, are they really that entrenched in their own position that they will be willing to sacrifice shareholder value, to prevent other people from holding them accountable? That's a real question that I think they need to answer.
So when it comes to, I guess, how we move forward here, I mean, there's been a lot of opposition to what happened, obviously, going back to last week, including a letter from yourself. Was there a response, I guess? And if so, what do you expect to happen, I guess, going forward from this point?
Sure. So we're obviously exploring all legal avenues. I think the most common and most likely one is we're just going to call a meeting and essentially vote on the issues. Then the only potential positive of this share offering is that, in the contract they had with the underwriters, is they agree not to sell any more shares for another 90 days. So there is a bit of a breather room now to really mount a full-on proxy campaign. And I think the response is, Barrow has decided to sort of start speaking a little publicly. And I think I obviously today challenged into a debate on some of these issues. I think that could potentially have some fruitful activities for shareholders as well. But I think really what goes forward here is, we need to really figure out what MindMed's focus needs to be and who needs to lead it. And I think that really comes down to letting the shareholders have the ability to vote. Sort of on another related note, there's something called a consent solicitation. So we've been exploring that avenue, but likely we're going to go straight with the meeting calling.
You've highlighted a few concepts and a few ideas when it comes to a path forward here. You have an opportunity here to speak directly to a number of shareholders. Sean, one of those. What do you say here? What is your thoughts? What is your idea? What is your plan? And how do you see MindMed going forward here?
Sure. I think the real thing here that every shareholder needs to listen to is, if you are not happy with the way management's running things, if you want to see change, speak up, let management know. Obviously, the best solution is a negotiated settlement. That's just the most practical solution. And, peace is better than war. But the way you get peace is by management being aware that if they were to go to war, they will lose. So for all the people who are frustrated out there, I say write to management, send them email, send them letter, voice your opinions publicly. That's really, technically right now, we cannot legally ask anyone to vote anyway. But, I think if you sort of align with our ideas and sort of where we think the company needs to go, make it known to management. Make management know that things need to change and they will need to be held accountable.
There we go. Jake Freeman, Freeman Capital, obviously full disclosure shareholder in the company, large shareholder in the company. We want everyone to be well aware of that and understand exactly what the message is going forward. Listen, Jake, all the best going forward. Best of luck with your endeavor with this and others, I'm sure, in the future. We appreciate your time this afternoon. Thanks for doing this.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you, Mr. Freeman,
Yes,
for that one. Yeah, very interesting. Look, bull cases, bear cases, all about there on MindMed. So I want to thank everybody for taking their time and effort for that, and especially Jake. So thanks a lot. We'll have him back on. I mean, that went really well. Some nice comments there in the chat. I mean, obviously, there's going to be some people that have lost money in MindMed as well, and that's part of it, right? That's what we're trying to do here is bring, the hot guests, the hot topics.
It's all about education.
So you can understand back and forth both ways there. And I thought Jake spoke really well. And hey, man, that's to each their own, man. It's called, you know what it's called? Due diligence.
It's exactly due diligence.
You know what I mean? So do it yourself.
You know what's cool to me?
Yeah, never punch a key because someone else says it.
No, but also not all activists have to be. It's not just Carl Icahn, man. Like there's
What, grandpas? Say it.
Okay. Well, that's what I was gonna say. Is like no, it's true. Like not all activists have to be like 78-year-old, or whatever, however old, Icahn, who's a legend, by the way. You come in all shapes and sizes, and it can be absolutely anybody that has a strong case and that can mobilize people. So, look, I get it. There's probably going to be some shareholders out there. I'm pretty sure I might have sold most of mine. I might have a piece, to be honest with you. But oddly enough, when we were just talking about Peloton earlier, just to go back to a trading perspective, we were talking about Peloton, and when you get those big flushes, and I get it, the offering, and then it holds the bottom and then makes a higher low the second day, we were just talking about that with Peloton, and the same bloody thing happened on MindMed at $3. Now, we actually this morning, it wouldn't have mattered because we had those execution issues. So if you were looking for that dip buy in front of, well, if we were looking for that dip buy in front of 3, it's not like I would have had it anyways, but you got essentially the same thing. It bounces like 10%. So I think it's got a little bit of a temporary floor on it. While all that was going on, I did take a shot on Tesla at 245. It looked like, I'll go back to the 3-minute chart here. It broke VWAP, or sorry, got to VWAP, rejected it. So on that rejection, I jumped to short at 245 and then made a fresh high as the market continues to climb higher. So all I got is CCL left. I got out of the Apple long, unfortunately. Although Apple's really not, you know what, I shouldn't even say unfortunately. It's still right there, right beneath that 143. So Apple hasn't really been able to go any further. But Tesla is making a bit of a power move to the upside. And the chips, I mean, NVIDIA did get that 126 break. The level I liked on NVIDIA was 126.25. It just got it to 126.19. So, you know, it has a chance to still break out from that Friday high. That's going to be where I'm looking for the NVIDIA longs. We're now clearly above 3,700. And one of the reasons that someone pointed this out in the chat, that while we were breaking highs, UVXY was actually grinding a little bit higher. Now that it's starting to go back into its downward turn, it's a bit weird to be punching tops when you have UVXY kind of bouncing off of its lows. Now that we're heading back toward those lows, or it looks like, now I'm going to look for some of these breaks. One of them is sitting right here on NVIDIA.
I was just going to say, let's go with this, because there it is, man. Back to the day's high again goes the market. And, of course, there goes Meta right back to a level that we're all about, man. We're all about taking that profit on Meta right now. So, you know, from one big trade to another, hopefully we can have this continue on. But there it is, the first time we'll throw that down today. Because, yeah. Markets be damned, man. Close the casino for the first couple hours. We're going to kick that door down. We're going to come right back and do this kind of stuff. So there it is. It's a nice little win for us there on Meta. Meanwhile, so it's funny because we're just going to go 2 for 2 today. Long Meta, long Neo. And look at Neo right now. The exact same thing happened. Unfortunately, we did get a little well, it looks better when it's like this. You can see the levels. Unfortunately, we did get a little bit nervous when it took the 50 period and we were underneath the 200 period. But now you go right back up to VWAP. And then so, you know, like we keep saying, 3 more outs right here as we now hold. We talked about it. We did get out of half of what, about half of what we had left there, holding now about a third of this total position. So, you know, nicely done there for me anyways to the upside. I still think Neo can run, but, you know, being long in AIM, that's down 1.14% into a market like this might not be the wisest move. So we're going to wait to see here if we can capture something on Neo. Again, I wouldn't be surprised if we wind up getting stopped out if this does take this out. I'm not averaging in, just hoping for a little bit of a breakout here like this on NIO, and then we will moon on that one. Obviously, Meta right now taking out the day's high, so that's a chicken dinner winner all around. So that's really good. Let's look for some new trades, though, because what's happened is done, and that is in the past. All right, so again, Peloton, we already talked about that. AMC, unfortunately, we just had Jake Freeman on. He talked a little bit about Bed Bath & Beyond, but we didn't mention too much about that to him, nor did we mention about AMC much today. It's kind of just barcoding here. It just made its move back to somewhat near the highs of the day here, up to that $7 mark. Again, 17 million shares is a lot of liquidity to day trade, so I don't want to hang away from it. But at the same time, it's a brand new 52-week low for AMC today that was just made down here at 650. So that sucks. But remember, you got to go 8 plus AMC to give you a real value. So let's go 7 plus 250. So you're still at 950, which isn't horrendous there for this name. I still feel like you want to get it above $10. So any combination of above 10 is good for them. And look what else is happening right now. And it's funny because I just talked about this with Justin before we came on the air now. And I said, you know, he was talking a little bit about day trading, and I was kind of like, shoot, we don't have a good Google chart here. But I was like, if you can take Google here against that 95, that's going to give you $5 worth of risk, right? Now, can Google get back to 110? Can we get back to where we were 2 weeks ago on Google, right? If you think that's the answer, then I feel like swinging a name like this that's really worked. We already have that bottom, and it was just 95 today. So whether or not you really think this market's going to blast from here or not, I still feel like there is some nice runway for Google to get back to that 100, and hopefully we'll see it today. But if we don't, tomorrow on radar is definitely Google with a nice little move to the upside. I almost punched long Adobe, man. ADB, I was gonna say, I know that's NASDAQ, so I have it right. Ooh, that was 285. Oh, just before, Serenity now again, but it's okay, we don't have it, so whatever. But just before, I was looking at this 285.50 right there, thinking that that was a punch before we just went live with Jake. So that was a possible punch right there too, man. 285.50. Oh, that was good for Adobe. Adobe getting going now. Let's keep looking at Adobe. But guess what else is happening right now? Meta booming to the upside. $2 in the money, but someone that's always in the money, especially with that money haircut over there, Brendo. Give us something good.
Last week, no? EA popping up here, guys, at day highs. Huge volume coming in. Apparently, Need for Speed has been released. So a nice pop here for EA.
I got the Need for Speed. If you want speed, then just look at the acceleration to the upside in the markets. I was saying I like that NVIDIA quarter break. I got it. It went to 50, so I've already scalped one leg out. I'm going to look for 127. Obviously, it's going to sort of stand out there, so it's a round number. I'll be taking some out in front of it if we can continue this nice little move. Sometimes just look for those breakouts at the highs. And what I wanted to see UVXY start to drift back down. That actually has been confirmed. And thank you guys in the chat for pointing this one out. There's a lot of strong stocks today, but one of them that we might not have mentioned just yet is Netflix. And Netflix, after like anything else, making some pretty interesting lows this morning, I think at a pretty obvious level. You can go back in hindsight's 2020, but it essentially bounced off of Friday's low. What didn't? And then just races to the upside. We have yet to break Friday's high. That's at 242.5. So I think there's about $1.50 worth of runway before you get into that resistance level. So Netflix still has some more to run. I like a 240 dip to take a shot here. I mean, we're at 37.07 on the ES. That's 3% to the upside, or just shy of it, not to jinx anything. The NASDAQ, however, NASDAQ's right at these tops. Pretty much at that Friday high as we speak, maybe like 10 points away from it at best. It's kind of teetering back and forth, but it's pretty darn close to these highs on the NASDAQ. So anything that's got room to the top, I like. Anything that hasn't really broken out, I want to kind of stay away from. If it's got room to go, then you can think about some dip buys. If it's already broken a high and has momentum, fair enough, just join the party. But if it's just resting on that resistance like Apple is, I don't want to be long Apple up here when it's at the resistance at the same time as one of the major markets. So I want something that's already starting to break out for me. That's why I like that NVIDIA. We did take some out already, but I want to be looking for some consolidation dip buys. It doesn't feel like this could be wrong, obviously, but it doesn't feel like necessarily one of those days where we just sort of give it back at the end of the day. Am I going to get stopped out? Are people buying enough Affirm to get that, trying to break through the high? Of course, I made the top wick on it. Maybe it comes right down here. But when stocks like that are going, a lot of times you do have some follow through. Now that the more I look at me making the top wick on Affirm, the more I'm thinking, hey, if that's a wick top, maybe that's something I should be back into. But I still have CCL. That's pretty weak. I should look for something that might set up better than Affirm for a short. But this isn't all that bad. I could just jump right back into it.
New trade alert. Okay, so here goes Nike right down to the downside. We are taking Nike short here. I was trying to find something that was against the level. So Nike was up to 86.50. We just went short right there. I mean, we're already in the money, more than a 1-to-1 ratio. But let's just see if we do fall. We just touched out right there down to the 50 period. I'm sitting right here at 11s or 10s, I believe. So a little bit more of a move down here for Nike, and we should be able to get out of a third or so of this. And then we'll watch and hopefully see the rest of this day continue to fall down. But Nike, a new position for me, and there it is. Yes, sir. Let's effing go right now. I told you we'll be back, and we're back, man. The market doesn't sleep for anybody. You could turn execution off. Doesn't mean anything except for I can't trade. There's Nike right here into that level. And again, just looking back, this goes back to the 30th. We had a disaster report from Nike. We talked about that. And there it goes right back into this level. That's what we find. That's what I'm going to do for you. Yes. Yeah, right there. Nice little trade there as Nike going to the downside right there. There's a 34-cent winner for you just right there. I just took the trade, so you're nicely in the... Okay, Nike, here we go. Is everyone piling on this trade or what? Nike right now to the downside. Look at it. Look at this collapse right now in Nike, literally happening right in front of my face. So I feel like I have no choice again but to get out if we can around this 95, 96 level for Nike. One little swoosh. I like that, the Nike swoosh to the downside, and we'll be able to get out another piece here for Nike. Let's see if it does happen, but I'm just amazed here at this move to the downside. There it goes, trying to take out some more levels. I mean, next stop, if we can get 85.60 on this, we'll take it. But there it is again, like WTF. I don't know, that's not a bad... Okay, Nike. Now 50 cents in the money on a trade we just put on for you right there. So hopefully you guys like that. There it is right there against that high. We found a name for you. And all I did was, sometimes this works, sometimes it doesn't, but it's just remembering names. Obviously, we've seen Nike pretty weak. I saw it bumped up there. We did a little bit of work against the high, and there it is, boom, boom. We only have a third left, but that's a win for you right there for NKE. And then just a review there. Obviously, that goes right back to the day high. And I'm going to talk about, when I say day high, and I'm quite looking at the chart, I can see that it's not, but it just went right there, period high, I guess, in the afternoon of that 1560, so we did get out. And now that I'm seeing this again, man, let's just get out some more NEO shares here because if this market does fail, this name's already red, could fail down more. So let's get another piece out here at 61 if we're able to. If not, we might have to chase this down even lower. Nike, though, 50 cents in the money, we just put it on. And then Meta, we're almost out of Meta, man. That just went there to the high of the day again before we got out of the last piece. So still in Meta, still in NEO, still in Nike, but definitely celebrating some of these victories here.
Yeah, I just took another leg out of NVIDIA there. We just double tapped the high of the day, that 126.5, and you see it come right back, sort of snapping back in. So every time we hit that resistance, it's like, okay, we'll trim it because the market is trying to put a bit of a turn on. I showed you that 3,700, but also remember the NASDAQ at those highs. Want to have some room to run to that upside, but have to give it some berth. And shout out in the chat for someone, when I was saying I'm looking for some place to go short, someone actually remembering Rivian that we talked about this morning at that same 32 level. Now, the downside to Rivian, okay, it's at a good resistance. I do like the level, but it's not even moving. Like I'm watching the level too. It hasn't even blinked. Like there's no prints even going off on Rivian, and that's sort of the problem. Like the chips are moving, NVIDIA is going. I can see actual price action on the stock. Like Tesla, if you're trading that's moving. You're actually getting some movement in the chart, but Rivian is essentially doing nothing, and that's why I don't really favor it. You got to be looking for some. Look, if Tesla's going like this, why isn't Rivian even testing its recent high? Like we just ran like $5 on Tesla, and I watched Rivian move 5 cents. So I don't know if I can get into that trade. It's going to be a nothing burger for me. Getting back over to some of the chip names in there, I mentioned this morning as only something that I wanted to short before that 2650 area. Now Intel just looks like it can be a long off of 27 until that level does break. It's right at the highs. I prefer NVIDIA. I think it's got more momentum to it. But Intel, more or less the same chart, breaking back to the upside, now taking out that 27 level. Looks pretty strong to me. I jump right back into a firm. I think if the market turns, I'll take another shot at this in front of the high of the day. That seems pretty sound. And as we mentioned, Netflix, that 240 looks pretty juicy. It's not quite at those highs that 242 have. So I think it's still valid to dip by, and I wouldn't be considering any shorts in this beast. Up 2.5%. It's still underneath what the market has done, but it was much weaker relative to the market this morning, and it's still got some room to catch up.
Or let's do it again because we're just getting out more and more NEO as it retraces back up to the upside. So good trading there, and unfortunately, unfortunate or not, we've emptied out some of this Meta as it just kept on hitting levels. But now the NASDAQ's going to approach that 3% level, and there it goes again. So, back up to that high. Like I said, I was never going to short Apple, but it's bouncing off of that 143 right now, so there might be something there for Apple on a short. you know, we shorted Nike. It's still sitting there, so I'm pretty happy with that position. But let's look for some more. What about Ford? What is Ford doing right now? Still sub, I was going to say still sub 12, but obviously it is. A lot of barcoding there, not much happening. 1140, 1142 right now. Tesla's still trying to get back to that 450, 250 area coming through. I don't know, down 7%. It's lucky that didn't get SSR. Twitter, we can look at that quickly. Again, I don't really want to be involved with Twitter to trade it, but it's the one that's, you know, relatively weak again today, obviously against some of those levels. So you could see Twitter down 3%. More news as that drops, Brendan, will just come, you know, bring that to you. I don't really see too much happening on Twitter. I mean, to me, even down here at 40, I mean, I just fear that there's a settlement overnight or something, and then that, you know, the stock makes its move and you're not with it, right? So unless you have some sort of an inside thing there, I'm not super interested in that. But as I see Meta starting to go upside, which Meta is just like a monster winner for us there. We should have like a Zuckerberg thing flying around there. But, you know, if you're looking at Meta, I want to look at Roblox just in case that's starting to take up again. Here it is off the bottom for Roblox. Wow, that $33, $33.50 again. What a huge day today for Roblox. Right back up here. So again, some of these names starting to head into some levels that you might be looking to short. So Roblox does have that 37 top right there coming into play, but look at it, respect this 50 period. We're all the way up. So that's a nice move there all the way up for Roblox. But again, just be careful with some of those spots. Like if you're gonna go short, you gotta get out if you take down some of these levels. So look at this move to the upside today. It's straight up $3, man. You did dip down a little bit. This could be getting exhausted, especially near that 37. So if Roblox can get to like 36.80, these kind of highs, I think we'll short it in front of 37. But that's just another trade idea there for you.
Yeah, be careful with Sober. They just pulled a rug on this thing a little bit here. Broke this 360 level. It's getting down into $3. $3 was the big breakout this morning when the volume really started to step in. It hasn't halted yet to the downside here. It's a pretty big move, but hasn't actually had a halt, so it could actually get to 3 without a halt to the downside. I know there's going to be some bottom pickers on this one looking for the dip. The volume's still pretty solid, but it needs to start bouncing and showing some consolidation to make it worth it. And I wouldn't necessarily want to be holding much too far past $3 because it could still halt to the downside. That would be part of my concern with trading this name. Like I said, jump back into a firm to the short side. This Apple starting to run out of steam, to be sure. A couple more tests of this 143 without breaking back out there. And that's going to get me at least a little bit more worried that you could have a bit of a pullback, because if Apple can't break out from here, I mean, like, if Apple doesn't go up, I mean, it's going to start falling off of these highs and then maybe drag the market with it. So I want to keep an eye on that long over in NVIDIA, which is starting to slow down itself. Brendan?
Not a ton of volume on this yet, but FDA approval just coming through for this THTX stock on HIV treatment. So big pop here to the upside, up 12% right now. Volume just picking up again. FDA approval for one of their treatments.
First thing to do, always check the float, because when I look over and see like a 500,000 volume, okay, it's a decent size float. Well, it's 80 to 90 million shares, depending on what you check. And it's kind of funny that like it used to be like a few years ago, I'd say that's a low float, but these days, that's practically gigantic by most measures. Either way, when we look at it, there we go, my 15. I like the 15-minute chart. I always want to favor it. Pretty good level at 250 if you get back down there. The volume really starting to pick up. There hasn't been a halt on the stock, so don't have to worry about any of the halt levels coming into play. But 250 looks pretty solid as this morning's high. And then you have some 240 resistance to support going there. I just want to see the volume maintain in the last little bit here before we get too excited about it. I'm already looking at Sober. We're maintaining the break on NVIDIA, but as I said, the market is showing some signs of making a bit of a top here. So I'm gonna start thinking about a trail and stop. I haven't thrown it in there just yet. I'm kind of watching it closely and just looking at that 126 even level. I haven't thought about a trail in the money stop. I'm still willing to give it back to that even level at 126, but it's having some trouble getting to that 127, unfortunately. And then in looking for some opportunities, if you're looking at, I mean, Micron is up 4.5%, which is more than NVIDIA. However, it's got a pretty defined lower high there that's going on. Like it hit 53, but now you have a lower high at 52.50. So it's kind of a little bit weaker in the afternoon. I think maybe a bit of a relief rally after its terrible earnings last week, but this could be something to work for a short. If the market starts rolling over, I could see getting short in this, beneath this little 52.35 area, playing it down into 51s. For now, I'm still favoring the longs. That's something to look at if I get out of something like an NVIDIA here. And then, of course, sober, as I was just mentioning, this could be good off of a dip at that 3 even. Still showing decent volume. You're now seeing it start to bounce a little bit. I'm going to see if I can't get something in the 320s, but that's a hard out at 3 even. Like I said, I don't want to be holding this if it cannot break, if it can't hold that $3 level. I don't think it's worth it. It's already been a rug pull once. It's recovered from some earlier, but we're now at 313, right? It's a little bit later in the session to try to hold through any kind of a rug pull.
Yeah, it's already 3:13. Wow, how the day goes by when you're having some fun. Right now, Nike's still having a problem breaking through 86, so all good on that one. It got as high as 86.11. I still feel like this name could fail here the rest of the day. Let's have a quick look at Microsoft. Might be at a little bit of level of support here, so we'll go over to Microsoft quickly. 241. Ooh, that's a nice level for Microsoft. Yeah, there it is. Okay, so yeah, Microsoft right now looking to take some of this down. So we could start to reverse, man. You're finally taking down the 50 period. I mean, Microsoft just went straight up $4. Oh man, what a bad day to lose some of that connection today, but that's okay. You know, that was part of trading. But there's Microsoft finally taking down the 50 period and looking like it wants to move back down to that downside. But you are bouncing off that 241. That very bottom there is actually, it's not really a wick bottom, but that's 240.90. So I could see myself getting short against that top here in case the market does want to fall the rest of the day. I don't know if I want to make a call that the market is going to come in. We're at Meta, which is at the high of the day for us. We're at, I mean, look what's happening to Neo as well. That's starting to rip up, and actually have an offer at 68. So like really surprised at the strength of a lot of these names. And then as long as the NASDAQ keeps going up, I almost think I'm looking at this the wrong way now. We should be looking at Microsoft to pick it up now on the long side, not on the short side. Like normally I'm trying to like counter trade at this time of day just because, you know, the stocks can fall back in here. And I don't know what that imbalance is going to be. We had the largest sell imbalance since March of 2020 on Friday, over $6.5 billion to sell. So there's that trade coming in too. But oh man,
you know what I was just thinking?
Microsoft right here. I don't know.
Well, we've been seeing those massive imbalances from time to time, but it's like I don't actually know the answer to this, but I want to vlog this today. Like after you get not a historic, but a large sell imbalance on a Friday, like what do we get on today? And then maybe we can use that, start building a bit of a frame of reference. Because my gut tells me, hey, well, maybe you just have, and you can see Mark and Rob are doing some work behind me there. Hopefully they don't drop anything. It's making me a little bit nervous, but I have no idea what's going on. But yeah, well, maybe we get that big buy imbalance because there was so much sell action. It's almost like a relief thing where the tops get bought, where the bounce gets bought up here, and you can see that big buy imbalance. So I still want to have some exposure to the upside. That's why I like this NVIDIA or dip buy Netflix. But I want to talk Roku for a quick second because it's getting real close to $60. Now, it might not look like obvious resistance here until you get $1.50 higher. But there was a huge rollover on Thursday at 60 even on the stock. It was right at the open. I'm not going to forget it because I missed a trade and I hated myself for it. But this 60 level could come into play, getting really close to it. Another name with just the dip buys going right into pre-market support and Friday support. Just so many of them. It is what it is, man. But that 60 level looks like it's pretty big. I did mention I got back into a firm, because, quite frankly, I made the wick top there on a firm. Let's go to the 3-minute. There you go. I made the wick top into a firm, so I worked right back, essentially to the same price I had before. I got a piece in, so I didn't miss the move, and then I got the rest up here at 30s, so I end up with essentially the same 25 price that we had last time. As it comes to the downside, I'm going to try to pay myself. If it gets to VWAP, fantastic. I'm going to have some bids along the way here. If that imbalance does come out to the buy side, well, I'm going to want to be covering these shorts. CCL is just not moving. So, look, I have this short off of $7, but it's inside of the range here. It's not really going anywhere. At some point, I'll just have to accept the fact that it only wants to give you 5 or 10 cents. If it only wants to have a 5 to 10 cent range in the afternoon, I'm already in it and there's nothing I can do about it. So, at some point, I'll just have to take this one out. And even NVIDIA just got right back to that 26. So if I'd put a trail on, if If I put the trail on at break even, I would have been out of it, but my stop for the final third of this is going to be at 126. So the firm short's starting to work in here. Apple's starting to pull back as well. Well, if Apple doesn't take the top, there's not much we can do about it. The market is going to dip back down if Apple doesn't want to go.
All right, guys. Meanwhile, while all that was happening, we just took a 40-cent winner right now and still holding on Microsoft. We talked about going short right there. So, I mean, I hope. I don't hope you guys. I hope everyone trades their own book. That's for sure. But so far, what have we given you so far here on this show? We can review it right now. Nike 60 cents, in the money now for Nike as that's cracking lower. So that's going to turn out to hopefully be a good short. We've gotten out of our meta again, as Neil was talking. Now we have very little left on that one after putting that on at 137, giving you $2.20 or 30 cents on that name as well. Neo. Again, out, like it went up to the upside. We now have, I mean, from the total, we have about 15% left on Neo, but just got some out on the upside. You're now breaking a little bit lower, probably get the rest out right now for Neo, so that's working. There's the out on Softy, so we did get out of a little bit, not of it all, right there on that bottom. So here's the short at what am I short at, 13 or what is it, 12s? Yeah, so 12s and change, round it down, it's 12. And then there's the out right there, 76. So a decent little 25, about 40 cents there as now you're starting to come back up. So definitely make sure you take the profit. I'm only out of 40% of this trade. So, you know, that's what we're trying to do here on this closing show. Make quick trades, man. If we can get in and out, like Neil was saying, understand sort of the true range of the stock that you're looking at and then trade it accordingly. If I have to get out of some Neo here at 58, I guess we'll just have to do that for that 10-cent win. Microsoft fading out again. There's Neo. Just got out. Oh, I guess I have higher offers, which is why that's coding temporarily as a short sell. But there's the next out there for Neo. I think I'm just going to let Microsoft fade out, hopefully the rest of the day. I mean, obviously, I'd like to have a win here on this name, even more than this. My target would be the 200 period. 239.28 now on the last piece. So if that does come out, we'll see about that. But right now, there it is, man. Hit your sirens. Let's go to this market. I don't think it's going to the downside, but this is the short that we have on right now. It's Microsoft, and we just put it on for you. So hopefully this is working out for everybody here today, but it's Microsoft, and it's a short right now. I don't know, man. That's my target. Maybe this is a little bit better one, 239.60. But I'm going to wait out for this 239.30 or so area, see if we can get that if this market does make a move back down.
Yeah, I mean, look, I like the upward trend that we have in the market, but like you said, just make sure you pay yourself on the way back down here, because you could get a situation where at 350 we do get that dip buy. I just took another leg out of a firm. We're halfway to VWAP, so I want to be halfway out. And then I got one dip buy that we were mentioning, that 240 on Netflix just came in. It did bounce, and maybe I got a little greedy. I had a chance to maybe take out some of this for a 50-cent pop there. If it goes up there again, I'm definitely thinking better of it, and we'll go ahead and do that. But my stop's down here at 40s, and that was 1-to-1. I could have already had some at 1-to-1, but I like to strengthen Netflix. I was looking for some things to dip by, but needed the market to come in to make the risk to reward better, because I don't want to be giving a long. If you go long the top there, I don't want to be losing $1.50. If we get an inside day or inside afternoon, then where's it going to go for you? Ultimately, you needed to break the high at that point. Looks like those shorts, like I said, starting to come in here, but there's a reason I said pay yourself. There's Apple already bouncing back to the upside and retesting these highs. That's why I wanted to get out half of that Affirm. Apple takes out the top. I think we do on a lot of these names, hence why we jumped into that Netflix long. Rivian, I was mentioning this one. If it could go, it's still in the exact same range, not doing a heck of a lot of anything. And then Roblox, which was another that we liked, if it could have gotten to 36. I like this dip buy as well at 36. We didn't get anywhere close to that. I missed it by about 20 cents or so. So still pretty valid for potential move up there in Roblox. And one we did not mention as well this morning. Well, I think you did. Maybe you did. Correct me if I'm wrong. PayPal. We haven't talked PayPal in too long. PayPal just had a bit of a turn off to this 88 level. This is a pretty strong looking base. I keep talking about names that have made support levels, but this is a higher low on PayPal. When everything else is bouncing off of lower lows or June lows, the June low on PayPal is $20 down from here. So PayPal is actually making a series of decent higher lows here, and that's another reason why I kind of like its relative strength. It hasn't really broken out from this 88, but if this market can go, it's got that 88 break has room like to the tone of $2 up to 90. So maybe something that wants to be on that radar. I don't know if it's going to take the high here today. We're going to need some strength in the market, but I want to make sure I have that one locked and loaded. As I said, I want to take Netflix, some out in front of 241, and then if it can get to Friday's high, that is the ultimate target, 242. I don't know if I want to be holding past that. It's currently about 30 cents in the money. I need a little bit better than that for the first out because 1-to-1 is 35.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, I didn't speak about PayPal, so
You
good.
did, man.
No, I did not.
I'd swear.
I always talk about 90, but
I'd swear you did.
well,
I don't know. We're getting
maybe.
old,
If
man.
we talked about crypto. No, my memory's pretty good about those things. But either way, PayPal, Square, I mean, these are names that are always on our mind anyways. Okay, what's on my mind right now is try to work everybody through this Microsoft trade. And thanks a lot, Chris, and for your nice words out there on the chat as well. So shout out to you. But you know what? I mean, I don't know. Like, do we want to be part of this rally that happens right at the end of the day here? Like, we've already taken out our profit, and now it comes right back to the point where we're only in the money 20 cents, right? So you got to watch out for this Microsoft trade right now. I'm honestly, I don't even know if it's worth holding it all the way up here. Like, I don't even feel like taking a hit on this name. I'm debating. I've already done the math. Like, if we get out at 241.20, then that should be still profitable, but it'll be close because we're only out of 40%. So we would wind up taking an 8-cent hit on the last 60%. So I'm debating that. That's sort of where we started this trade. It's that high right there, 241.20. We can give it up to 21. I'm gonna take the thing is like now that we're above the 50 period here on the NASDAQ, it's kind of like, it just denied that move down. Like it could have just kept going. There would have been no problem with that. Like I don't think anybody would have really been surprised that we're up 3% and then we give back 0.5% or something into the close. But for right now, it seems like it wants to keep going. So I'm going to go short a little bit. I mean, why? I don't need to go short right now. So I'm talking myself into this trade, but it's more just for everybody else. Let's just try to go short right now. Maybe 18s or. I mean, we just punched, okay, well, we punched 18s and we got it, but it didn't move. I'm going to put a stop right now at 241.31. If this goes, if this goes back up through there, then I'm just going to get out. So, you know, whether or not we have that, we'll see. But there it is. We just punched 18s. You guys saw me do that. So let's see if 18s will work. I'm going to stick a bid right back at O's. So if we can scalp this out again for another 20 cents. The risk to reward on this last punch is 13 cents. We went short at 18. We're going to get out if it takes 30s. That's it. Let's see what this market wants to do. I think it wants to continue to go to the upside, man. Think about what we're long now. We're long Meta, we're long Neo, and we're short Nike and Microsoft. Nike, I don't have a problem with. That's still downside. That looks like that's going to be a pretty good short here, but I'm still waiting for Nike a lot lower. I just like the risk to reward here on Meta, or on Microsoft, sorry. Like there it is. It just went 1-to-1, but we're going to wait for 241 to get a piece out here on this short. So, hey, market fails a little bit. I think we can get this out downside. If not, man, we're going to get out for a 12-cent hit on a 241.30 break.
Yeah, I'd love for the market to go to the upside here. I still have on a couple of shorts, obviously. One of them, I'm not going to say it doesn't count, but man, CCL really doesn't want to move. 241 just got taken out of Netflix, so that continues to the upside. I'm looking for 242 as that ultimate out. And you know what our best friend right now, if you're long, your best friend would be a clean break of this 143 level on Apple, I think. I think if that starts to get breaking out those highs, which it has not really done from that 243 that a lot of people are looking at, that can be a big help to us here. Tesla is still holding VWAP. It's not really churning off. It's showing some signs of slowing down. It's not really churning after bouncing through VWAP or testing some of these highs. If it goes really out of hand, like if we get a really explosive move to the upside and we see that 250 level again, like I'm not saying, but I'm just saying, I might take a shot. Obviously, we missed a chance at 250 this morning, and it's not revenge trading a missed opportunity. But if we were to somehow pop $3 in Tesla to 250, it might just be worth the risk to reward to take a shot at it. It feels crazy to me that we'd go back to that price after everything that we saw today. But hey, crazier things have happened. Going to hang on to Netflix. I'm not going to put a trailing stop until oh, wait a minute. No, never mind. We just hit that high of the day, so 241.50. Yep. Okay, so we just hit the high of the day. I'll definitely make sure I don't lose on this trade. I'll certainly have a trail at break even now back into this like 240 area. But I want that top, see if we can get it. Unfortunately, I did get shaken out of NVIDIA, but it's not even back at the high. So the 126 breakout, pretty solid. It got to 126.80. and then I got trailed out of the final third of it. But Netflix feels like the stronger stock at this point. Well, can end up being wrong about that. And there's Apple, 143. I might just take another leg out of a firm if I can get these teens again, because as the market goes up, it's not screaming to the upside, but I might as well see if I can't get a few more shares out here before it takes out the top, or if it takes out the top with the rest of the market. And I probably should just get out of CCL because it's just wasting my time.
Yeah, we do the same thing with Microsoft there. We will flush ourselves down the toilet a little bit on that one. It's, again, we're not really down anything, but the level did break. And that's why you get out, man. I mean, instead of we got that 241.31 there. And if we don't, then, I mean, it's fine because it's only at 36. But sometimes you can miss those targets. And then the next thing you know, you're punching out days high, yada, yada, yada. You guys all know about that. And sometimes I do get caught in those trades. But what we're not caught on is Meta. That continues to go up to the day's high. Sorry about that, man. We tried that Microsoft short. I still, look, I mean, if you're in it now, you're fine. I mean, it has pulled back a little bit. So I would tend to look at that trade right now. I like a Nike trade a little bit better. I'm looking for more things that are at resistance because I just feel like if I short now, I just think that the risk is more to the long, like a new position long, than this short. We just bounced again off day's high there. So that's 113.60. I don't know if we have, I didn't check no, we don't have it yet. I don't think.
1 minute,
no, not from Brendan. Yeah, we're going to get that updated market on close imbalance coming through very soon. So that should be a good one. Wow, oil's up nicely, man. That ZEO XLE up 5% today as well. Amazon, nice trade to the top side as well. Microsoft still through there. Shopify's at $28 now. Meta 139.50. Wow, where are we long Meta? 137.20. Yeah, that just continues to rock as well. Meta making some big moves to the upside today. So, all right, yeah, not much else to report, man, as far as trading is concerned for me. Looking for more opportunities. You guys want to look at, okay, Coinbase? Sure. Someone just said short coin. I'm always down for that. Coinbase right now, 66. Okay. Quick little look, up 3%. Okay, you're below the 50 period. We definitely like that one. Try to find some key levels. I'd much rather see Coinbase break right here, 65.75. So that would have been basically the pre-market high, that little rally that happened off the open, 65.70. If we could take that down, that's a little ways to go. And then you had some consolidation right around that price. So that's the price that concerns me. I wouldn't even really short this 66 break because that runs you right into here. So I'm not sure about that, but Coinbase right now, yeah, what a disaster stock, but it's been holding up okay the last couple days. So I would say if you're looking to short something, you're obviously going to want to look at crypto as well. But I can't, hate anybody for wanting to get some Coinbase short or long, whatever you want. But you're right at a nice little level here, right there, man, $68. So you're still a ways away. I like a break of that 65.70, like we just talked about on the minute chart, right into here. You ought to break. Actually, a 66 break isn't the end of the world. You're still a little ways away. I actually like this break better, 65.75. So for me, it's a little ways away for now, but let's wait to see what happens here if Coinbase gets down to 65.75.
Yeah, remember that theory about gigantic sell imbalance, crazy price action on Friday, so maybe we'll get a big number? The early look that we just got on the imbalances is 6 million to buy. So not billion, 6 million to buy, which isn't much of anything at all. Things could change when we get the real number at 350, to be sure. I saw a lot of people, as we're sort of talking about things that are at the highs, mention Amazon here. It got to Friday's high, 117, now putting in some lower highs in the market. Like, remember, the NASDAQ is on the top.
Yeah.
The ES is on the top. So things that have pulled back and are making lower highs, yes, it's up 3%. But to me, that qualifies as, hey, well, if it's not testing the highs when the market's testing the highs, then I kind of like that look. It gives you some cover here that even if the market breaks the top a little bit, you're not necessarily stopped out at 117 yet. So you can get a false break of the high of the day in the market and still be in the short. If you short Apple right here and the market breaks the highs, well, you're just out pretty much right away. So this isn't that bad of a setup there on Amazon, of course, with the imbalances looming. I would probably want to be trying to resolve this trade if I could. I'm going to take it, by the way. But I'd be trying to resolve this trade before we get to 350. Obviously, that high of the day at 117 is going to stand out like a sore thumb. All I got is a firm short, Netflix long. So I'm looking for some more exposure here for something that's moving. And I saw someone mention that Finger was maybe going because I canceled my orders on Sober because it just wasn't doing a thing. But I don't know, FNGR, it's a lot of volume on the day, like 60 million on the day is fantastic, but this really isn't moving either. It's strong and it's holding near the highs, but that's really not a heck of a lot of movement. I'm not sure there's a trade there. If it wants to break out from the highs or dip back into support at $5 VWAP, that's fine, but not really seeing much of anything on FNGR as good as it was earlier in the session for those that traded it.
Yeah, Brad had that joke that stock was finger licking good there. You know what I tried the other day actually when we were at the Wu-Tang concert? They had KFC fried chicken chips.
Done.
Ruffles.
Done.
Yeah, so Ruffles sponsor. I don't know if it's a new flavor. I actually saw an ad on Twitter for it the other day as well, and it was like KFC chips right there. So
you had me at
that finger licking good there. You know, obviously their slogan, not one that we made up, but yeah, that sounded interesting. I don't know. We tried them that night. I mean, everything tasted fine that night, but I don't know what that would taste. You know, if you weren't at a concert, a Wu-Tang concert, but that, you know, let me know if you guys tried that KFC Ruffle chips.
Are you trying to say you had the munchies at the Wu-Tang concert?
I'm just saying. I mean, is it a surprise that they're giving away KFC chips? Like at a Wu-Tang concert?
They know what's up.
They know what's up, right? So, I mean, I'm just saying that. Whether or not, I mean, if you just were anywhere within the vicinity of that concert, that was a problem. So that would make sense.
Or it wasn't a problem.
Or it wasn't a problem. Yeah, pick your poison on that one. All right, so that's Wu-Tang.
These guys know. Yeah,
that's why you want to diversify your bonds. You know, you got to make sure
Wu-Tang Financial.
Yeah,
See, this is the thing.
exactly.
If Wu-Tang Financial ran the world instead of Credit Suisse, then we wouldn't have it. We wouldn't have these problems.
Does
It's
Credit
crazy
Suisse-
that we haven't mentioned Credit Suisse. Like, Credit Suisse has all
I
these
haven't looked
issues,
at them.
and the market up 3%, baby. They don't care. Because if you haven't been following, like, there were some concerns about liquidity and with Credit Suisse, and they were down like 10%. I haven't looked at the stock today, quite frankly, but it was
Right.
down 10% when I had last checked, and it wasn't looking good. I'm going to assume it made a bounce because most of the
I haven't.
financials
We'll
bounced
have to
today.
look at it.
But yeah, CS, it feels like one of those stories that if the market wasn't moving, we'd probably be talking about it a little bit more, but the market is moving, so.
Yeah, well, it's up 3%. So after being a horrendous
Oh, I thought you meant
start to the
I
day.
thought you meant Credit Suisse was up 3%.
That is what I mean.
Oh,
yeah.
it is up.
Yeah,
Okay.
so yeah, surprising to me as well. It started off a horrendous down to 371 and has actually made back. So yeah, you were down
Hey, good for them.
about 10%, all the way back up to that $4, looking to take out 405 right now. So if there was a level of concern there, you know, maybe Credit Suisse up there near that 405 would be something to look at. I said a sort of a bull case the other day for Beyond Meat, like just the fact that it's been getting killed so much there, that there could be a little bit of a relief rally. So today, although there's a lot of stocks relief rallying, Beyond Meat is another one of those names that you're up to 475 now. You've got a nice little pullback from that bottom, but still, it's not rallying. I mean, you're still at these bottoms. You got to get above 1610 or so. And I feel like this is another one of those names. I forget the other one I talked about earlier, Peloton. But it's just one of these names where, again, I don't know if Beyond Meat's a buyout candidate, probably not. But just up there, 16 or so bucks. Once you can pass that, then maybe a lot of this garbage is behind it, and you could get a little bit of a trap to the upside. There still is, I believe. I mean, this was one of the most highly shorted names out there.
I think it's still like 30.
It was 30 and more. Yeah,
Oh,
so it's
easy,
still more than that. 35, 36%, some 40% there on Morningstar. So you're going to be able to see here a big percent short on Beyond Meat. So that would be one of the other catalysts for this name to get back up to the upside. But right now, it's 335. The market's trying to rally, and I'm debating picking up some Microsoft right now. It did just dump down a little bit back to that 50 period. And, you know, again, the problem is the market's not moving. I mean, even to zoom it in like that looks ridiculous. We have that bottom wick there. Oh, that sucks. That sucks. It's influencing the chart. But that's 241. So like that's 241 on the knot right there, 241.11 or so as a drop. But I just feel like this is the area where I sort of get squeezed out of things because it is going to touch that bottom and it probably is going to touch that top again. So, you know, I want something to make an outsized move here so that we can get back in. The one thing that everyone could do is if you could get Bed Bath & Beyond is not the most shorted stock. No, I think Beyond Meat. I don't think you're going to find a more legitimate stock. And what I mean by legitimate was one with a higher float that is short like Beyond Meat. I mean, Bed Bath & Beyond, the last time I checked, was in the 20s or so.
It is up in the 30s.
Let's double check it. Yeah. Oh, no, well, okay, so that's been adjusted. So again, Bed Bath & Beyond, I mean, Yahoo has it at 100% float.
No, that's 38.
38, 39. So I think Bed Bath & Beyond and Beyond. As long as you have the word Beyond in your name, I think that you are a very highly shorted name. So like, Virgin Galactic should probably have Beyond in their name somewhere. Bed Bath & Beyond does, and Beyond Meat. So
there is that Beyond Spring company, because every time I type one of those symbols into there, that Beyond Spring shows up instead of Beyond Meat. It's like, no, man. Like, why? Like, if you're doing a search function and I start typing Beyond, you mean to tell me Beyond Meat's not the name that comes up? Figure it out. Figure it out.
Yeah,
it's a fantastic website. It's free. I'm not going to hate on anything. It's free. Speaking of free, we're free. And last I checked, we had, and the number would be 4,900 people watching and 800 likes. We're not even at that 1,000 mark. Yeah, a little bit disappointing. It's been a while, but we've been here for you all day long, through thick and thin, through ladders next to me, the entire morning show. But there's plenty of opportunities out there, whether it's EVs, Tesla, Sean talking about that 250 level. Just because we couldn't take them in the morning doesn't mean that everybody and their mother couldn't have had these opportunities out there. And we're here for you guys. So take a second. It only takes a second to hit that like, and then you'll feel a heck of a lot better for yourself. And then maybe the market will get back to these highs. But Tesla now dipping below VWAP here. I did grab Amazon. I want to shout out to all those. As we were sort of asking for opportunities, looking at, okay, what are things that are off these highs where you have a decent setup? You guys pointed out Amazon. I'll leave it on this chart to show you Friday's high here. 3 minute 15 is going to show you basically the same thing. Lower high consolidation. Already worked for one scalp, looking for 116s. And if somehow we end up with a big reversal, then we could think about 115.5 or VWAP to try to catch a buck on it. Netflix, still relatively strong. That's why you pick it out there. I just like the fact that Netflix has room on that consolidation long to get to that high. So unlike Amazon, which is sort of at the high and lower high, you basically are breaking out shy of that high on Netflix and then trying to catch up and get to its high from Friday. And if we do that, I'm going to be out. But I am noticing it just rejected, had a wick top through the high of the day at 241.50. So this is actually a bit of a sign. I should maybe take this out shy of that high, because I just noticed that wick top there. And wick top at the high, lower high consolidation, a lot of times that's where you want to get out of Dodge. So I'm going to heed my own advice. If that's a short setup, when I'm looking to short things off of the high, and it's about 70 pennies away from where the target is, then maybe I just want to take this one out and just take the money and run here. Because if we're not getting through the top, there's only going to be one place to go here, and we didn't get a big buy imbalance like we were anticipating. Well, I shouldn't say that. We aren't indicating a big buy imbalance, which I was kind of hoping for and wanted some exposure to. So now I am only, after getting out of the Netflix long, I'm only in the shorts, Affirm and Amazon. So I guess I'm betting on a pullback.
Yeah, I mean, I like that bet. I was looking at the same thing here with Google. I feel like that is the right place to bet right now, just because we're already seeing some of these highs. But again, the market is still stuck completely in the middle of this range. I mean, it's at the high end of the range, but I just mean if you look at it the last 2 hours or so, or let's just call it an hour, I guess, going back to, I guess, this is 2:30, so just over an hour right now. You're kind of in the middle. You are near the bottom of that range. So if you do take some of this out, we were right with that Microsoft short. It did squeeze us out a little bit. So we're not right after all. There it is now. The move is coming back into the downside. So I do like some of these shorts, man. Let's just get out of our Neos, then we don't have to worry about it. We'll put an offer there. Maybe we get out of it. Our Meta trade, we have almost nothing left. Just waiting for this to break down below here again. 138.80. If that breaks from Meta, we'll get out. There goes Softy. Oh, that sucks because we did have that play, but that's okay. Yeah, 138.79 or so will trigger out on Meta. Just making sure that all I'm doing right now is really just getting some of these stop orders out, right? Because that's really the key to everything. Making sure that you have enough offers or whatever out there to make sure that you do capture profit when it does come back in. We let it sail to the high side, so we have to get out if it does break lower. Nike is the big one right now. That's the money one coming back in. It's now taking that down. There's the short for Nike, still coming back, waiting for it. We just got out of Neo there, as I think it just took, yeah. So it took down some 55s right now and not moving. So that concludes that trade. This was a good one, man. I mean, we just put this one on. It says 1 o'clock, I guess. But it did come back and fill some of those levels. So Neo was a good trade for us today. All we have on board now is Meta, waiting for that to take out 138.80. And then Nike, waiting for lower lows, honestly, on Nike. I mean, if this market collapses, it won't collapse. But if it does go down, I want to have something to the short side. And I know Neil's just joking, but yeah, you did hear it right, man. It was the wrong letter. It's just million, not billion. We wish it was 6 billion to the short side, but Brendan has since confirmed that it's a whopping 6 million. We got the number 6.5 billion. And if you want to see something, let's just see I mean, I could call up the Qs too, but look at Apple just as a stock here. What happened at the end of the day? And of course, we're going to have a monster wick, so it's going to be hard to show it. But maybe I can just zoom it up there. This is Apple rate. So that's 350 on Friday. So when that came out, Apple was at 140, let's call it. It finished the day at 138, so it went straight down $2 on a big sell imbalance before giving a 16 million share print on the close. So we don't have that excitement today for this market. So just be careful, trying to think that there's going to be a monster sell-off or a move one way or the other into today's market. For me, I don't see it happening. So wait on it.
So I wasn't on the camp of thinking we'd pull back bigger, but then we kept noticing, and a lot of people pointing out in the chat too, that UVXY keeps climbing up. And it's one thing that it made a decent bottom, it then consolidated, it then now just broke out of the bottom of the range here. So UVXY through 12, through resistance at 1195 and climbing back into the upside. For what it's worth, that I do look at it for sometimes just to give me a little bit more maybe confidence or another indicator to give you a reason you think you could be topping out there. A firm doesn't seem to want to get VWAP, but I'm going to hold out now for VWAP or a trail. Amazon now continues to fall to the downside. It just got to that sort of 116 level to take another leg out. Now I'm just thinking a little into this 115.5 will be the ultimate target for it. So that's going to end up working out. We do like it, and I didn't come in thinking we'd get a flush. But sort of as we got to those highs and the Netflix didn't really follow through like I wanted, and Nvidia, both of those longs worked, but it's like, where's the follow through? And Apple darn sure can't get through 143 either. And this was the other thing. I mean, Apple was doing all the heavy lifting. Like, it was like Atlas over here, but then Apple shrugged at 143 and the market couldn't climb any higher. So you have to think about the shorts. I didn't short Apple again. I suppose if you just jumped into the 143 short at Apple again, then hopefully you made money. I kind of hope Pratt did, because he was saying he wanted a 143 Apple short. And if you look at it, I mean, like, how many times does it get up there? Maybe break it by 5 or 6 cents, but it hasn't violated that level. That's a scalp trade that you could have been over and over again, and you'd still be in the money. So a good level. I was looking at it for a termination and then an out as well, but I didn't hold on to that bad boy. And now I think we could drag the market back down. That rejection we saw on Apple, Tesla as well below VWAP. I said I wasn't really believing in the long in Tesla. It would have worked for you off VWAP for a couple of bucks. And now we're headed right back down toward the bottom. So I'm kind of kicking myself for, not really. Actually, I wanted 250s. It wasn't really a short setup for me other than the one that I took. And really, to hold on to that trade, like, sure, it would be in the money, $1.50, but I would have had to hold it against me 2.5, which doesn't make any sense anyway. So I think it was right to get out of the Tesla short and sort of just take a limited loss. We lost 50 cents on the trade. That's better than nothing. The real opportunities on Tesla were this morning. I think we all understand.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Tesla was a great trade this morning, and I mean, so was a lot of names this morning.
Yeah,
but you had to be there. You had to capture them. That 250 break was amazing. I think the Apple long 140. I mean, that's the one that we actually had written. We had all these written down here today. We had Tesla. I'm just reading our sticky note. Tesla 250 short sell. Apple 140 long. Neo longs, but. Again, we don't. That didn't do anything. AMD support 63. We can see if that level wants to hit tomorrow. Meta, get the long as well, 138. I mean, there are a bunch of different things on here that we talked about. Meta now at 139 and change. We have this one. This is $2 now in the money. Our Microsoft is still dancing around. I say this over and over again, and again, it's not really going to matter ultimately, but what it's all about is like trusting some of the levels, right? And if this market was still, I just want to give you guys a quick thing here. If this market was still open, I would actually short this Apple break right here. I just don't think there's enough time. Like, I like it against this 143. I really think that that's a good short, man. I just, right now, with too many variables coming into the close, I like this short. Like, if you like this against that 143, I think it's fine. It's just what if, and there's always these ifs, right? Like, the market could come out a screaming buy here today, and then for nothing that you could have done, the market just rips back up and literally rips your face off, like we've seen a lot of times here, especially on the show. So for me, I'm going to stay away from anything like that and just like kind of like count my chickens, sort of, as they say, and just be glad that, you know, I'm not in anything that's moving around too crazy here into the close, because I don't really have like a great feel on what this market wants to do, but I'm still here for it. Let's see what Apple, Meta, we're still $2 in the money. Nike, we're 50 cents on the short. So these two positions I like, and I don't think I need to do too much more.
Yeah, I'm going to hold on to Affirm and Amazon, but I had my stop at the high of the day on Amazon, but now that we're like 2 minutes away from the imbalances, I'm tightening it up to right where we got in, like this 116.65, which is 15 pennies ahead of where we got into it. That's where I'm going to put the stop, this close to the imbalances. But I see you, Top Dog. We're looking for like opportunities to short, and he's saying, and he said in the chat there, short sweater power. So it was 2 degrees here in Canada, which is cold. That's very cold. It's like 35 in the U.S., so 35 Fahrenheit, whatever that works out.
Today?
When I left the house, it was 2 degrees,
yeah,
so like 35, 36 for you guys in the States. So that's why we're all wearing sweaters today, and I happen to like my sweater, although someone in the chat said
I just wore it because I thought it looked good. I had nothing to do with the weather, to be honest.
I've heard Mr. Rogers this morning. Someone said
you got the cardigan,
Someone said Theo Huxtable, and I'm like,
yeah,
Theo Huxtable? He was a teenager in the Cosby Show. Like, why he wouldn't wear a sweater?
They probably
like
got
this.
it confused.
Not Theo. You're thinking of
because
like.
If someone says you look like Cosby, that has different.
Well, it's horrible. We can't talk about.
That's what I'm saying. It's like that Deshaun Watson thing that you have, which, by the way, we've eliminated. You looked exactly like Deshaun Watson on there.
Not that I really.
But now it has, negative connotations to it.
It does.
But I like the cardigan. If you're going to short Sweater Nation, that's
cold, man.
That's not a great idea.
I like this sweater
because the man has a sweater on over there. We got to throw over to Brendan. What's up?
It's the Sweater Club today. I just confirmed, guys. It's 59 Fahrenheit outside right now, so that's not bad. It's still definitely not hot. A couple of things to put on your radar for tomorrow as we head towards the final 10 minutes here. VSAT, we percent here. It's been sitting at 38 all throughout the midday on that news this morning. They sold part of the company, a division of the company getting sold. Worth noting as well, FNGR just halting upside on a volatility halt. This was the other one, FTCI. This is a solar stock. Big deal with the government of Australia announced today, just coming back into 320s. So VSAT and this FTCI, noteworthy for tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's no question FTCI, that 320 is going to be notable. Now, if it was 420, then you know what's up there. But I always look at these and say to myself, if you, thank you there, Lucas. I always know that, or always say, if you can hold like the more obvious levels for support, that's what you want to be able to see. That is right around this 320 to 330, so it doesn't need to be at 340. But we just got the imbalances.
Yep, not much else. Yeah, that was me that hit that. Okay. Lucas busy over there. Yeah, he's busy. He's got that 420 flash. I don't have that one on my board. Okay, TLT. Obviously, we talk about that sometimes here. I'm surprised that that's such a big imbalance today. This is the 20-year Treasury right there with a sell.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Don't usually selling the 20-year Treasury. Maybe the market is due for a rally then if we're going to sell off fixed income. Okay, Google as well with a nice little move. Not a move, but a sell imbalance. This is what we're talking about. Brendan just comes out. It's 245 to buy right now. This TLT is pretty interesting to me.
I'm going to make a mental note of that.
On that one. So right there, 99.30, 99.40 for Google coming back in. CLF, well, this was a name that we brought, I guess we brought earlier. We had some questions about Cliffs making a nice move to the upside as well as Nucor. Some of the metal names back into favor here. Amazon with the sell imbalance. I mean, some of these big tech names all sells. Neo, we got out of that one. Good thing. I got to make sure all my stop orders are canceled here. Neo to the downside, NVIDIA to the downside. Other than that, I mean, CCL, if anyone's looking at home, a 690 right now, buy side imbalance. But, you're seeing here, like that imbalance didn't do anything to CCL. So it looks like we're going to get a little bit of a nothing burger again. If you guys can hit the like button, though, that would be the big thing for us. Please do that. NVIDIA's a nice move to the downside there. But, yeah, not much happening right now. But the like count is a little weak, man. 1.3K. Let's get at least to 1.5. We need 1.5 every day, or there ain't no more wrapping. There ain't no more anything like that.
We upped it, man.
No, that's for Friday alone.
This time it's Thursday.
Thursday alone, 2K, but we need an average. Like, if we don't get 1.5, forget about it. You know, don't, you know, we want to give the people what they
Oh,
want.
we got to get a forget about it graphic. We'll ask.
We got to get a lot of graphics.
No,
and we
I
will
but
do that.
I like
That's
a forget.
good one.
I like a forget about it.
Yeah.
Forget about it. I'm out of a firm. They're actually. I was already bidding down at this 19 area and then threw a bid in there when it got there. I'm like, ooh, it's down here. So I did get out of that trade. Amazon came a sell, so I'll just kind of hang on to it to see if it can fall any further. But that one will work. When in doubt, when the market's at the top, short a firm. Now, I did stop out on this because it hit the high of the day and broke it. But, hey, if it does a wick top, jump back into the trade if you like it. I do like that setup to be sure. Let's see if we can get there. I do want to remind, hey, check them out. Just throwing it up here on the chat. There you are. There's True Trading Group. 4 o'clock, of course, at the end of the day. You can see their link. Good supporters of the show. And I'm pretty sure they wouldn't trash talk my sweaters at any time soon. Good decision to get out of Netflix. It didn't, when we sat down today, like I'll be the first to admit, I was looking for dip buys, let's go upside, we're going to go. And then Apple started rejecting 143, and sometimes you got to change your mind. UVXY was bouncing as well. That was a bit of a help. But it was probably a good thing to have just got out of Dodge because that wick top on Netflix, then you get the lower high, now it's rolling over. Probably could have considered a short in that name, but wasn't really looking for it there. So at least we got some Amazon. I did want to check out Roblox because that's one thing that I did not get into any Roblox trades. Is what it is at open, that 35 level. But Roblox holding up and not getting through yesterday's top. So this is actionable tomorrow. If we get a rally day tomorrow, Roblox has significant wick bottom, consolidation holding up at the high, and then a potential break just southbound of that 37 level with a lot of room to the upside. Like you've got, I'd say almost $2 till you get to those highs from a week ago. So I like Roblox, but we need to have an update in the market, some continuation to the great move we've seen today.
Yeah, it's too bad because 50 more free memberships there thanks to True Trading Group. So, right now, alert. Nike right now, 70 cents in the money. We'll see if it continues to go down. You know what really sucks is getting stopped out by 10 cents or so on Microsoft because there's that downside move for Softy, like we said, and like I said also that if I felt like there's a little more time in this market, shit, man. That 142.50 level, that was the level that I talked about right there, shorting for Apple. So if you had that short right now, you're in the money, but it's only 15 cents. So who knows where that goes here. So I'm not going to cry over spilled milk. There it goes, ripping back up on the reversal of a 355 candle. So watch out here as the imbalances come through. We'll see. There's Apple. Ooh, Apple now a buy right there. Here comes 355 right now. So you're going to see not much happening, but this did switch over to a buy as TLT is getting paired off. Apple now a buy. So Apple, I think, must have been a sell. Switched over to a buy, so you see that. Okay, now there it goes. So all these updates, there's 355, sorry, right now. On that update. So Apple now updates lower. I don't see it anymore. So it's 355 right now, sorry. The time is 355:13, 14, 15, 16. If you're following at home, there's Apple right there. So still a buy, but did give some back. Oh, that's crappy, man. That break right there of 50, I liked it. It would have been working okay for you, just a little too risky to have into the close. My bid, though, and I know you guys are saying, here comes my Coinbase level, and some of you can't believe, to call that level, but whatever. I'm not in it. Wow, okay. Oh. A lot of these things falling out right now. Yeah, here comes Coinbase right now. And I said you could short 66. If you did that, it's 20 cents. But I do like this level better right here, a break of 70 to the downside incoming right now for Coinbase. Like I said, with only 4 minutes left and imbalances all over the place, I don't necessarily think that we should be in anything with only a few minutes to go. But here comes Coinbase right now, taking down that level after just giving back about $3 from the high. Well, I guess it's $2.50, but there it is, 68 Coinbase right now. Here it goes, guys, taking down that level. We should have just shorted Apple. That's really, Apple was the one. Coinbase, I'm nervous because there's not that much liquidity, but Apple, realistically, that shouldn't have been that much of an excuse. If there was no imbalances every night, then that's different. I could be in and out of a trade in 30 seconds. So that would have been better. 1 second. But that Apple trade looks to be pretty good. Let's see what Coinbase does at this bottom as well.
So Tesla's at the lows, Brennan pointed out. I'm throwing a trail out again, so my trail's at 116 on Amazon. I'll try to hold it, see if it can get down to 115.50. But halted to the upside is Finger And it did dip down into VWAP. So I sort of said when it's sitting in this range, didn't like it. It did give you a little dip down. It would have been tough to catch. It looks like to me you probably had to be in the 30s and 40s. And halted up. It will open. This is the way it works when you have a halt this late. It'll open up at 4 o'clock. The closing print is like the opening print, essentially. So wherever it opens will be the official close price, and it'll trade in the aftermarket. So if you're stuck in this, well, congratulations if you got the long because it's working out for you. But it will open in the aftermarket. It's indicating 642, which would be an open to the upside in about 2.5 minutes. But as I said, in 2.5 minutes, we got to be out. I do have a bid down. We're pretty close to just getting out. And I'll probably even think about just manually getting out of this. If at 358 we pop, at 355, you get major updates to the imbalances. It happens again at 358, and then it happens again at 359.30. Those are all decent times. If you're working in the momentum on a big sell or buy imbalance, those are good times to think about at least covering your trade. So looking at that in about 10 seconds.
All right, yeah, so good call there. Yeah, watch out for your levels. We are going to be positive today and finish the day at the highest spot we've been at due to this Nike trade. There's the cover for Nike, so we'll go cha-ching on that one, even though, you know, I'm at the daily goal. I made it. I'm still not happy because we were unable to trade the open, but that's trading life. Just glad to have been back right now and happy to be here every single day. So there's the out on Nike. That's a good trade for me, man. 86.37 against that high of the day. Not only was it against the high of the day, but we talked about, it was the 20 minute, I guess. Yeah, coming right back into that dip or that level that we tried to respect, again, off earnings, 86.50. So good trade there. Now that's $1 in the money off that. So couldn't be happier. We're finishing the day at the highest spot. Today, Meta absolutely destroyed. We destroyed it, going long right there, then getting out. These are $2 winners. Unfortunately, we couldn't do much during this, but we just get lucky to take profit, then get out for flat. But it's that trade that really sends me flying there today. NEO again, you know, off the open, unable to get out, lucky that it ripped back up. So not really considering the first half of the day for anything, but just really liking these dip buys at 50 and then out at 60, some at 65. And then the trade that you all saw was Nike. So we're going to go 3 for 3 today. Oh, and then the Microsoft should be a huge win, but it's a flat trade. We're out again, a cup of coffee. So I guess that would be a red name for us today. But yeah, so far so good here. Let's see where we can go with the close happening, man. Everybody looking sharp, but the man that really started the whole sweater thing is standing over there.
It's true.
He's getting ready to rock and roll. I saw him wear one last week with the zip up here. So we'll have to watch out for Tony the Tiger in about 20 seconds.
Speaking of Tony, last I checked, tomorrow is Tuesday. So hopefully we can get him back as well. But the countdown's on, so get the camera off my ugly mug and throw it on Tony there so we can ring out a good day in the markets overall, but a little bit of a pullback here. Tony in 5, 4, 3, 2, and...
All right, that is a wrap to what was a pretty exciting day, man. We do finish near the lows, or at the lows, I guess, of the afternoon, but still a really, really productive day, man. We turned this guy over to a bull early. It definitely rallied that market. So, and if you believe that this thing has anything to do with the market, then maybe you also have one of these sitting around by your desk. But
I got some magic beans.
Yeah, we also got some magic beans that we could sell you, but too bad we don't sell anything here. But
That's
if
true.
we did,
It's all free.
magic beans.
I guess I'd give you magic beans for free.
We could do that, like put magic beans in like a Trader TV Live thing and just sell them, and then people could plant them, and if they grow huge, then great. But I like sunflowers, man. We planted one sunflower this year. It went like 15 feet in the air, even more than that. It was ridiculous. But okay, Brendan, how did we finish up on the broader markets?
Big day right across the entire board here. Worth noting the ES, so the S&P 500 and the NASDAQ take back that June low once again. The Dow, however, did not. But a nice look here. S&P 2.5%. The Dow 2.7, 2.25 there for the NASDAQ, 2.25 for the TSX here in Toronto. Huge day for Brazil, up 5%, 5% as well for crude oil. So we'll see how that plays out tomorrow. But big day, guys. Basically erased all of what happened on Friday.
Yeah, basically. I mean, that's the wild, wild west, man. I mean, that's what we're talking about. And that's what I was saying before. I was talking with Justin a little bit about trading and how the markets move. And I was just like, man, honestly, unless you really have a little bit of a longer term feel right now, it's pretty dangerous day after day, because to have called the 3% move down on Friday and then like a 3% move up today, I mean, you're basically just back to square one. I feel like you still got to short and go long the most appropriate names out on the board. So just get your thesis going. I think that'd be great. Tony did a couple things on the week last week as well. He came on Thursday or Friday, so I'm wondering if we should make it. Well, we'll talk to Tony, see if we can bring him back tomorrow as well. But I want to thank Jake Freeman again, coming through from, is it Freeman Capital, I believe it was? Yeah, so Freeman Capital, so thanks for that. Rewind, or we'll actually post it up, the interview as well. I already saw someone already posted on Reddit.
Yeah,
so that was good. Thanks for that, whoever did that. Get us out there, man. The more people that watch the show, the more fun it could be for everybody. Let's get this show rocking and rolling. So I still think I have the same suit that I wore to your wedding. Like, I don't think the last time I bought a suit, because I was thinking about it, like, a lot of us got married around the same time, and I feel like I wore the same suit. Yeah, I mean, when's the last time you bought a suit? Like, sure, maybe you buy a sport jacket or, you know, but anyways, point. I'm going to a wedding this weekend. So today, my plan tonight.
Get yourself a new suit.
Yeah, exactly. I'm going to go get out, find a new suit, get one that's maybe more appropriate fitting, so on and so forth, get with the style, because I'm sure they've changed in the last 15 or 20 years. On that. I'd have to dig out the one I wore to your wedding. That's what I'm saying.
I don't even know where the acid is, dude. Like, I'm trying to think of it. I don't even know what it was.
I mean, I got the Italian. I mean, I got the pinstripes. I mean, everything's ready to go. They're a little faint on a navy blue. But the thing is like, I feel like it's time to get a new one. So we're going to do that tonight. And then my daughter has dance. You have anything tonight?
Oh, tonight's swimming lessons tonight.
Swimming. So. I like swimming. Our swimming is tomorrow night. Man, these damn kids, man, not only are they costing me a lot of money, they're costing me a lot of damn time as well. But you got to have them every once in a while, I guess. But all right, it's 4:03. We can't delay too much longer. Rob is getting peed off over there.
He's got the ladder. He's like, come on, man, I want to get this done. So I don't know.
Yeah, he's got it on. He's got a sweater on as well. So he's part of the sweater crew today. Oh, here he goes. Now he's literally beside us, giving us the death stare. So I'll give a big thanks to Rob today, to Mark, everybody that was working real hard, man. Thanks to, like I said, Jake again. Thanks to Bears vs. Bulls. Thanks, Brendan, for dropping a lot of that news today and working on, like we said, the watch list. Fahad, Lucas, everybody's there. Katrine, I always forget somebody, so maybe we'll stop it right there. Liz, I must have forgot as well. Sharif, I didn't say the midday show, so there you go. Shout out to Sharif and Prad. How's it going, guys? I hope all is going well. They're not there. But
you got cocoa butter Vaseline sitting there, though.
Yeah, ever since. So that's the thing, man. Prad's like a changed man now. He has no facial hair. He's got he actually found a comb, combing that over there as well. So lots of excitement on the show. But it's 4:04 and we got to go. So from everybody here at Trader TV Live, stick around for the trade of the day. And we're back tomorrow at 8:30. So we'll see you then. Have a great evening. Ciao.